here, and I have with me again, Liana. Liana, thank you again
Hello.
for coming on. This is gonna be another long one, I'm certain.
Well, let's try to not go so long,
we'll
but
try,
yes,
we'll try, but
yes,
we're a bunch
well,
of geeks. We're a bunch of geeks.
we are, but
Um,
we're geeks that talk.
yes,
So
we are
yeah,
very much. That why did I call it Rambles of a pair of geeks?
that that sounds like an indie film. Let's do it.
Yep. So yeah, you know what? Let's just dive right into the main topic. That's on the thumbnail and everything. The My Little Pony New Generations. But first, before we go there, how much of Friendship and Magic did you know about?
I Friendship is Magic is the new one, but not the new one. I'm an
Right,
old
right.
MLP. Like I
Old,
was
old.
a kid when the original show was on, and so all
Right.
this Friendship is Magic and the one with the guy from The Hangover and all that stuff. I am lost. It's just My Little Pony. I have a Derpy Hoobs messenger bag. I do. I have
or
seen
Ditsy Do, whichever name.
yeah, I will never call it ditzy do. That's worse to
Yeah.
me, right?
And now
Like
to be fair, I do not blame Tabitha Sterling Germain for the voice she gave the first time around because she was trying to base off of this young boy that was a friend of hers or a kid of her, a friend of hers,
I
who kind
think
of yeah.
it's supposed to be better that somebody is neuroatypical. Sorry, it's supposed to be better that somebody is named a ditz as opposed to a character being neuroatypical.
Yeah.
I don't under that it that is modern. That is modern audience, peak modern audience
And this
right
is before it
there.
got bad. This is before it got worse.
I don't know. I think it's been bad since around 2012 for me. As
True.
somebody who used to do a very politically incorrect late night comedy show and stands
Right.
by it.
Hmm.
Uh, the current culture with it being this like mob mentality, and it's not about the best argument. It's
Right.
about
The
who can
loudest argument.
scream the loudest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and who can get the most people to pile on somebody.
Ugh, yeah. No
That
kidding.
that's just to me that's not good. To me, the people that you know end up doing worst in a system like that are the very people that these online keyboard warriors claim they're sworn to protect.
No kidding. And the more and more they show their hypocrisy, the more and more it's just like, really?
Yeah. Well, somebody in the chat said also neurodivergent here, just say autistic, but neurodivergent, I have been told by my audience, encompasses people with things like ADHD as
Hmm.
well as autism. So
Which
I just
explains
say,
why it's easy to misdiagnose it. Because I
right.
know I was misdiagnosed for a long time as ADHD until eventually my psychiatrist and eventually, or I went back, I had the diagnosis of ADHD.
Mhm.
And then many years later, I eventually went, my parents let me go to an old psychiatrist that I hadn't seen in years. And then he promptly diagnosed me as autistic. And then after that, I started
Ooh.
realizing my dad and my brothers were too.
So were you put on medication that actually made it worse?
No, nope. Ritalin did
Okay.
not make it
Okay.
worse. Ritalin did not make it worse for me. It actually did help.
Yeah, there are some other conditions under the umbrella of neurodivergent, but I am discovering more and more people I associate with and who watch my content have
Right.
ADHD as well as or as opposed to being on the spectrum. So yeah, I just use the term neurodivergent and then I say neurotypical instead of normal because I hate normal. Normal
Right.
sucks. We need to get
Normal's
rid of the
boring.
concept. Yeah, we need to get rid of the concept of normal. It
Uh,
just it so what you're not normal. People who
right.
accomplish things aren't normal. Period. End of story.
Definitely. I mean, how many normal people made any of those big accomplishments? How many of them were just, they might have started out normal, but how many of them were actually normal by the time they made those discoveries?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, I thought it was pretty cool that Elon Musk, on
Hmm.
SNL talked about being on the spectrum because um puts a lot of the stuff he does in context.
Yep.
Yeah. Are we sad that him and Grimes are Splitsville now, or do we not care?
I don't care. I do not pay attention.
It's funny how this sort of audience will go to war over He-Man and My Little Pony,
Yep.
but celebrity stuff, nah, who cares?
Yeah, well, because in their eyes, the celebrities are so out of touch anyway. It's better just complain them when they see something stupid.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I've been enjoying the BTS collabs of late. That's sort of my happy place.
Right,
BTS collabs with like Megan Thee Stallion and Coldplay and stuff like that. I'm all about that.
right. But
Yeah,
but yeah, but with My Little Pony, like I started with friendship is magic. By the way, I know I told you this in DMs before. Are you at least going to get that My Little Pony Generation comic I told you about, where G1 meets G4?
I might. I am so okay because I come from like that old generation and the
Mm-hmm.
80s were a very different time. I
Mm-hmm.
try to leave the new stuff to new viewers,
Right, that's true.
as opposed to being one of these people where
Well,
if
yeah,
they change
it's not my
something,
day.
yeah, if they change something I'm personally connected to, I used to do stuff like that,
Mm.
and now and then Thundercats Roar
Oh,
happened,
shh.
and
Do
that sort of
not
just
get me
that
started on that.
that just but it sort of broke me. Like you CalArts
Yeah.
Thundercats, like
Uh,
anybody with the slightest bit of furry in them just kind of vomits at that.
yeah.
And that was when I went, you know what? I sampled the new Shira, I sampled the new Carmen San Diego.
Oh, I
I'm
love that
not
Carmen San Diego. That was at least well done.
I like that her little like computer buddy
Mm-hmm.
is
Yeah,
from Canada.
yeah.
I'm
We didn't
like,
find out
yeah,
until a little
represent.
later though, but
Yeah, but yeah, like I watch it, I like it. I like it for, it's okay,
mm-hmm.
but I'm not the audience. And
Right.
I would like to be the audience for
Oh yeah.
something. The problem is the things on paper that I am the audience for, I absolutely cannot stand. So
Right.
so yeah. But yeah, I mean I've seen I liked what they did with Friendship is Magic. I thought it was
Mm-hmm.
actually a good update and modernizing it.
Oh
And
yeah.
then I started discovering the whole
Brony.
brony culture and discovering how many friends I had who are military or ex-military
Oh,
who
oh,
are big into bronies.
there's a video out there.
Yeah.
Military Bronies react to one episode, and that
Yeah.
was so hilarious. Especially when you have this guy who's an actual drill sergeant.
But I actually had a guy explain it to me of they see such god awful shit and then friendship is magic,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so and to me I love hearing stuff like that
Yeah.
because can we please get more stuff where friendship is magic and not the weird catty CW
Uh,
everybody's is like glaring daggers at everybody kind of thing. I That's
I mean, you
not
could have
my
an
kind of
episode
thing.
like that happen, but then by the end of it, friendship wins the day.
Yeah. But and then this new thing came out
Uh,
and
where
it's
everything that
CGI.
everything that the old show did, all for nothing, all for nothing.
Really? Because I didn't watch it, I admit, because I saw it and I almost tweeted about it. I
Mm-hmm.
almost did, because I'm not a big celebrity
Oh,
voice a celebrity voice fan, voice acting.
uh,
There are some celebrities who voice act very, very, very
oh,
well.
Nicole Sullivan, Patrick Warburton.
Right. It's
Yeah,
not just like green
character actors are
screen.
fine. I think character actors are the best voice actors. The
The the
characters.
the challenges with voice acting is you only have your voice. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have to punch it up.
Oh yeah,
Sometimes you can overdo it. And there's so
yeah.
many times in the Marvel What If cartoon that I'm
Oh,
listening and it's like, "Oh god, that actor, great actor, but if they hear that, they're going to want that take back."
oh
And
yeah,
too
exactly.
well,
Now,
too
mm-hmm.
often voice actors get blamed for poor voice direction. And
Mm,
especially when you've got somebody, I mean, Ubisoft changed their whole process of how they did recording for Michael Ironside,
right.
who believed there is no difference between voice acting and acting. There's just acting. Yes, that is so. But a
True.
professional voice actor knows how to coax out their own performance. They still need direction,
Oh yeah.
but you work with a really good voice actor and they're like
Mm-hmm.
boom, one take.
Oh
They are
yeah, yeah.
so good, they are so precise. And so when I see like Ken Jeong as a
Yeah.
pony, I'm like, okay,
Now, the
I
only exception, the only director I can make an exception of that could bring the
right.
best out is Andrea Libman before she retired. She was one of those who would hire even celebrities and get the best out of them.
There's nothing wrong with celebrity voice
Oh
acting.
no,
I
I know.
mean,
Not
you
Andrea
go,
Libman, I'm Andrea Romano. Romano.
yeah, you go back to something like, classic Disney stuff like the
Hmm.
Emperor's New Groove that I just saw
Oh, I
recently.
love that movie.
That was really well voice acted, and all of those are non voice actor celebrities.
Oh yeah,
Um,
but they didn't emphasize their celebrityness at all.
well, I mean, Eartha Kitt stole the
Oh yeah.
freaking
Oh,
movie, right?
my favorite
She
bit. When you
she was so
put it
good.
in a box, and I'll put it in another box, and then
Yeah,
I'll pay it to me, and when it arrives here, I'll
yeah,
smash it with a hammer.
yeah. But I mean, that's old school Disney, right?
Yep.
Part of the problem is that with Clone Wars, they developed a very, very specific voice acting style because they were clones. It was supposed to sound uh
The same
kind
actor.
of dead, right? They were supposed to
Mm.
sound like clones. And yes, it was the same actor,
D. Bradley Baker, I believe, for those.
but now everything sounds like Clone Wars and it drives me crazy. And I thought I was going utterly nuts until I went back and watched old movies like The Emperor's New Groove. And it's like, no, this is liveliness and this is
Yeah.
proper pacing and the responses are good. And I mean, actors eat a bad voice performance, but there's a lot of things that go into it. One
Oh
is when
yeah.
you're doing the spreadsheet writing, especially in video games, you're
Hmm.
supposed there's a part on the sheet where you're supposed to say what they're reacting to, and
Right.
some writers, um, some writers they're really good at filling in that box.
Hmm. Others,
Others,
the bare minimum. Bare
well,
minimum.
it's a pain in the butt, right? To write the
Hmm.
line and then you have to write responding to and then the line again. It's tedious. But you see some of these modern performances and it's like
Hmm.
this is not it's like they caught them on a coffee break from going between one show and another and said, "Can you just come in and read 4 lines?" So when I saw um my Little Pony with celebrities, I was like, I'm not. What is this? The Masked
I
Singer
know.
all the time?
No kid. You want to know a case of getting a celebrity that ended up obviously regretting it? Benedict Cumberbatch as the Grinch. You would have thought that would have been great because he could have done that Boris Carl, but instead he just said, "I don't want to do that voice. I have a voice in mind, and it's the dumbest voice for that CGI Grinch
Okay,
movie."
I am not. There are certain things I think Benedict Cumberbatch is really really good in.
Oh yeah,
I am not overall a big fan of his. Uh, I
but he could have
don't
done it. He could have done a Boris Karloff like voice.
I don't understand why he's the big it boy in a lot of ways. There are better actors that do the same thing he did. I think, just physical casting, he's perfect as Doctor Strange.
Oh yeah,
But I've seen him in a bunch of other things and I
sure.
just
I liked him in Sherlock.
oh, I couldn't stand that show and it's
Oh,
not his
it's not.
fault.
It's nothing compared to
Yeah.
Elementary.
Yeah,
I
okay.
prefer.
I'm a Sherlockian. Remember I said I leave things because if there's a
Right, right.
detail in it that I don't like. Sherlock Holmes is a mentally ill action hero. They
Hmm. Oh
talk
yeah,
about they talk about the fact that he essentially has depression and he has a great degree of empathy and he solves things by putting himself in the place of the person, right? he can
right.
he can visualize, he has a high
Oh
degree
yeah.
of empathy, and they have him in the original stories
Hmm.
having bouts of depression, and in one case he
Yeah.
uses the fact that oh, everybody's treating him with kid gloves to go in and steal something from a cloakroom, but they
Yep.
made Sherlock a high functioning sociopath
Yeah. I didn't.
in Sherlock.
Again,
High
Elementary
functioning,
got it better. Elementary
but
got it
what
better.
what does a high functioning sociopath lack? Empathy. They
Empathy.
emulate empathy. They don't actually have empathy. It completely undermines the
Mm.
purpose, and then all that weird, excuse me, I know this is a contentious topic, but all the weird queer baiting they
Yeah.
did that got really friggin' toxic, where
Yeah.
Sherlock non-lethally poisons Watson's wife. I actually threw that line into boss fight because I was so like, boundary crossed, man.
Yes,
Like,
I
see,
agree.
I utterly adore Martin Freeman, and
Hmm.
it just really kind of made me angry that Watson was just this constant beta the whole freaking time. Like, he
Yeah, I
poisoned
will
your
agree with that.
pregnant wife, man.
Yeah, I agree. I
That
agree.
should
That
be
should
it.
status quo. What do you expect?
Yeah, but it's also the whole that became a real issue with the queer baiting of the
Hmm.
Sherlock fandom, and I don't think they ever had the slightest intention of going there.
I don't think so either. I really don't think so either.
Yeah, but yeah, that's one of those ones that it's like, if people like it, the editing in that series was
Hmm.
brilliant. The
Oh
practical
yeah.
editing, and the performances with what they were given were pretty good, though they desecrated Irene Adler. And that's another thing that I'm like, okay, you are dead to me if you do that. But it's one of those
Hmm.
things where, and I guess I'm doing it wrong because internet, but the idea of, if I don't like something, I'm just gonna not watch it. And that's where I'm at with this 3D CGI, uh
The pony thing, right?
Ken Jong as a pony
Ken
show.
Jeong, Kimiko Glenn, Sophia Carson, Lisa Koshy, James Marsden, Vanessa Hudgens.
So, like, all right, sure,
It's like,
but
this is not a cast for an ongoing series.
well, why do you need celebrities in
It's
this
on
sort of show?
Netflix. You're already going to get butts on the screen, with butts on the online, because it's Netflix.
Okay,
You
is
don't need it.
this, and this is why we started talking about this before I came on the podcast, and I was trying to
Hmm.
get Robert to explain it to me.
Right,
And
right.
so, is this a show for kids, or is
It's
this a
supposed to
show?
be. It's a.
Okay, it is. It is supposed to be a show for kids.
It
So
is, but in their
kids
eyes,
kids don't really know celebrity culture yet, or do they? I mean, my friends'
I
kids, they don't really know celebrity culture.
right.
So what's the purpose of having names in a show for children? That's the first thing I'm not getting.
I think that's for the parents. I think the names are for the parents, because those are the ones who actually look at the names. Because unless you're a certain person who wants to make it into voice, wants to do voice acting, very few kids are likely to recognize. They'll recognize the sound of the voice,
Right.
but they're not always. Now, I know a friend of mine out there who, once he heard of Jim's Cummings' voice, he's always looking for that name, Jim
I
Cummings.
I see. I do that. I love Jim Cumming as a voice actor.
Hey, I'm going to see
Uh,
him in a few weeks.
See, I'm one of those people that really like. I really love Jennifer Hale as a voice actor, and
Oh
I know
yeah.
some people who are like, everything Jennifer Hale does sounds like Jennifer Hale.
No, it doesn't. What the hell are they
Well,
talking
okay,
about?
again, you cannot change your core tone, right?
Yeah.
And Jennifer Hale has a really great core tone. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jim Cummings has the same core
Oh,
tone
there's
in
always
everything he
that little
does.
voice. It's like Gray. It's like Gray Delisle.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like, now when she first started, you heard her range, but eventually she reached a point where you're done. Once you hear all of her other voices, you're like, I can tell which one's her.
Well, the other thing about doing long time voice acting is, if you've done a voice for a really long time, it does center. But the
Mm-hmm.
more you do voices, the more you have to be careful that you don't damage your
Oh,
voice
some
by
have.
pushing it too hard. And so longtime voice actors, they do start standardizing. I mean, Mark Hamill's one of the
Yep.
most brilliant voice actors working today, and he got shit for his Skeletor voice, and I'm like, that's
What?
he's really good at high low extremes. He's really good at that larynx shift, but
Mm-hmm.
that's
Oh
a
no.
skill, not something to criticize the guy
And then
for.
when
Like,
people kept saying they had Ellen open eye, why couldn't Ellen do it? Ellen can barely do it. I
Well,
mean, yeah,
it's
there's that video out there of him doing memes in Skeletor's voice. How long did you think? Do you think it actually took him to record it? I do not think it was in one recording session.
it's also not the same voice. The one that
Yeah,
got me was Sarah Michelle Gellar
Ugh,
as Tila.
that was the biggest celebrity that was there for as a celebrity that didn't work.
Well, that she's another one that people for some odd reason think she's got some
Star
star
power.
power,
Yeah.
and I guess she does, but just if you're gonna make Tila that ripped, the the size of your chest cavity and a few other things, it does impact how deep your voice is. So the body didn't match the
Oh,
voice for
got a
me.
good question here.
Yeah. How do you feel about certain actors in gaming not wanting to be known as voice actors but performance capture actors? I feel that
That's news to
diminishes
me, and I don't
it.
like that. I
It's
don't like.
a get work thing that
Yeah.
you're more likely to get, AAA work if you're a performance capture actor
Oh,
instead
the
of a
guys doing the
voice
Resident
actor.
Evil games have learned that. The guys who've been the people who've been doing that, like the actress doing Lady on how do you say
Dimitrescu.
it? Demetrius, which good God, seeing her the actual capture performance was amazing. Have you
Yeah.
seen that video? Yeah,
Yeah.
just like to see her take that drag and everything from, and then when she throws like, "Urgh," and then you find out, that shaking of her fist was actually from the performance
Yeah.
capture.
Yeah, the performance capture is amazing, amazing, amazing technology. It is a different skill because of the
Mm-hmm.
fact that you actually have what you're doing, what you're moving affecting
Mm-hmm.
your voice
Yeah.
when you're doing voice recording. First of all, like voice acting, first of all, the sound booth
Mm-hmm.
takes a little bit to get over. You do sort of need to warm up and jump around. And Robin
Right.
Williams was
Right.
notorious for like sweating through 12 shirts because he moved around so much. But you do, and there are times where in order to get like a or something, like you see what I did.
Yep.
I actually
Yep.
punched myself in the
Yep.
sternum.
Yep.
You beat yourself up when you do voice acting because
You're standing
otherwise
in the
it
booth. You're standing in the booth.
well, and there's a difference between and right?
Right.
It and so you end up beating yourself up. Sometimes you smack yourself in the face to get it because you're trying to, and then some of them will tell you not to move around so much because they're hearing it on the mic. And so then
Oh
you have to
yeah.
go, okay, I have to muscle memory what I did, but do the take clean.
Right.
And it's similar to going from theater acting where everything's all
Mm-hmm.
around you, right, to film and television, which the shot is this tight and you can't move very much and everything's with the eyes and
Mm-hmm.
it there people have different strengths and different types of acting,
Oh yeah.
and it's people who do these jobs do not get enough credit. I don't care what anybody says, which is why I don't like it when a company, like a production company, makes a decision and everybody piles on
Mm-hmm.
the actor, everybody piles on one producer.
Oh,
It
like Laura Bailey getting piled on.
yes, she did not write that part. She did not
She did
cast
not.
herself with the
She didn't even
last
do
of
the
the tape.
mocap. She didn't. If I remember right, she didn't even do the mocap, did she?
That was three different women, and
That's what I thought.
I have strong feelings about not being able, like Lady Dimitrescu was one woman and they just sort of painted over the mocap,
Mm-hmm.
and that's fine. But when
Oh
you're
yeah.
taking one woman's body and another woman's head, first of all, the fat layers don't match. But then you're taking another woman's voice. Oh, your spank bank dream girl is so perfect. You cannot find a single woman to embody her. Fuck off with that.
Uh, don't get me started. But now, you want to know something funny though? I found out
What?
two actors from Power Rangers Time Force have been known for doing some of the mocaps for various Resident
Yep.
Evil productions.
Yep.
The guy who was Wes, it was Leon's capture, I believe, in 6,
Yep.
and Jen was Rebecca in one of the CGI movies.
Yep. Yep.
I'm
And
like,
that makes
wow.
complete sense. It makes complete sense because they had to
Oh
be
yeah.
so physical
Oh,
in the
especially
suit.
yeah, especially when you had the Chris versus Leon fight in
Yeah.
6.
Yes. Oh, I
Now,
forgot
granted, now
about that.
they had someone else voicing Leon over him, but
Yeah.
but
Yes,
yeah.
but that's okay. I mean, I they do there are some BioWare characters like when it was good who they the motion capture and the voice were different. I mean, they do that on some TV shows, right? On Doom
Oh
Patrol,
yeah.
there's two characters where the guy in the suit isn't the guy doing the voice and they make it work. The continuity on that must be
Oh,
really strict because
yeah.
I don't know if they do the voice and then have them act to the voice
Mhm.
or if they're chasing. Um,
Yeah.
if they're chasing, good for Brendan Fraser and Matt Bomer. That is tough
Hmm.
to do. Chasing, for people who don't know, you match the
Right.
they just run the clip and you chase the
Oh,
movements
so kind of like we
from
do for
them.
anime, kind of like for the anime where they,
That's the term. Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, that's more you don't need multiple takes. You just go.
Oh
And
yeah, and good God can know, especially once you get to the anime that's actually 3D CGI, where you actually have perfect mouse, movement. It's like, oh, good God.
well, I'm really impressed with actors who can take those dubs, and I watch subs if I can help it, not dubs. I prefer the original performance, but when they can take a line where the
Hmm.
Japanese is so much longer than the English
Oh
is and
yeah.
actually make it seem natural, that's a real
Hmm.
skill.
Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to with the ponies. But yeah, I agree with you on the celebrity cast. It's like, again, who you're like you said, who is this
Yeah.
for? Because, but I will just say this: I would not have had much problems with this show if it didn't tie in the 4. If it wasn't
Okay,
set
so
in the
it's a continuation of Friendship is Magic?
distant continuation, like what? So it's like so far in the future that the tales of Twilight and the others have become legend. But it also means Twilight's dead.
Wait, okay. It's Ponies the Next Generation?
That's what it's called. Ponies: A New Generation.
Okay, okay, but so they couldn't call it Next Generation because that's too Star Trek, but that's basically what it
Yeah,
is.
new generation. And apparently, in the in between times, all the stuff Twilight and her friends worked so hard to do, nothing, amounted to nothing. All the ponies developed racism for each other, and then they separated into the 3 different types. Oh, and having such major bigotry for each other, and it causes them to lose their magic. Oh, and
Wait,
at your point, yeah.
there's horse racism? Get it?
Yep.
Horse
Yep.
race?
Yep.
Da, 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 da. Oh man. Okay, so wait. So they're taking something that already had a message that could apply, which is basically be nice to people even when they're
Mm,
different,
yep.
and going specifically based on
Current politics.
horse race instead of keeping the message wide so it could be about
Basically, they
anything,
broke it,
right?
so they had to break it so they could put it back together again.
See, I don't like it when they make previous generations of a beloved show into failures.
Yep, and now of course I bet you their argument is, oh, but so far in the future doesn't matter.
Well, okay, some things from, even 50 years ago seem you couldn't do that today. Even shows that hold up
Right.
really, really well from the 70s and 80s, there are some jokes. It's like,
Oh yeah,
could
but that's not a
never
big
do
but
that
it's not a
today.
big gap between the two
Yeah.
generations. That's the
That,
problem.
why would you just not tell another story? Like, it's CGI, obviously it's different.
It's because when they first started production, and remember they started production back when Trump was in office, and they made no secret about it. If you ever follow some of these people involved, they wanted to
Okay.
push the politics stuff on it. Now, granted, it's not as bad and as throwing or hammering it in as it could have been, because at least they still make it somewhat work within the world. But it's the fact that make it its own separate thing. Don't tie it in the G4, and I think you'd have a lot less complaints.
Well,
It's
also, it's a kid show. You shouldn't be making children's shows in reaction to some adult politics thing. You have to I've got a friend, he's a youth pastor, and he said it best. He said that I, I'm more concerned with an 11-year-old in my youth group knowing who they are and encouraging them to make their own decisions instead of telling them what to think one way or the other on any of these issues that are like really super divisive,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's too young. It's not age appropriate.
Yep.
It these are but until a kid is a certain age, all they care about is whether their parents say something that they did is good, right? There's no difference between you did a bad thing and you are a bad thing
Oh yeah.
for a lot of kids, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so if they're going too whole hog with it's weird that they don't seem to have developmental specialists on these shows anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
Now, of
it
course, that could be a double-edged sword. Let's be honest, depending on the type of person they get on set.
well, a developmental specialist is going to go with the science, not with the politics, right?
True. Well,
You
back then, yeah. Who knows nowadays?
yeah, I mean there's still because I work with a lot of people and know a lot of people who are neurodivergent.
Mm-hmm.
A good a good therapist is gonna stick to what is known and then individualize it for their client. They're not gonna push their own political slant on a child.
Mm-hmm.
It's always so, and you get that when you work in video games. You get the huffy parent um who will Google search a game that their kid is playing, find a
Mm-hmm.
piece of content that you have to really hunt for, and get all outraged over it. I remember my nephew was really into Dragon Age Origins at the time, and a friend of the family was over, and she Googled the game and found some, hot boy on boy Zevran sex scene in it and got
Yep.
all outraged and huffy and turned to my sister-in-law. You let your child play this game? And she's like, what? And the kid's like, what? Because all he wanted to do was be a dwarf that ran around and killed people. He
Mm-hmm.
never ever would have sought
No.
that content out, so he never would have encountered it. And I was just like, too often adults make things about them that aren't about them, and that drives me really nuts as a
Mm-hmm.
oh, Eileen's here, yay. Um that drives me really nuts as somebody who makes content and has I worked in youth programming. I worked at a music channel, and there's definitely a higher burden when you're programming for developing minds. All the more reason
Mm-hmm.
I think that people should stay the crap out of adult content with their judgments too.
Yep.
Like save your pearl clutching for the times it matters.
Exactly.
Let adults encounter difficult ideas, maybe, kind of, sort of.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Everything seems so backward now that
Oh yeah.
adults can't handle new ideas, and so they feel like they have to program children instead of guide children or educate children,
Mm-hmm.
and it just doesn't work.
Yep. And
It
then
doesn't.
they go as far as to have moments like, oh, there's some characters here who are really sweet. Oh, but turns out they still have underlying racism. It's like trying to play up the whole like even the nicest person. Oh no, there's still racist a little bit in them. It's like you're really going to be pushing that down on people's throats, aren't you?
How old is the audience for this show again?
I cannot tell you now. I thought I knew, but and then you have also you the fact that they ignore certain things they set up in Friendship is Magic. Like, wait, if they no longer have magic, how are they controlling the weather? How are they doing all the other stuff that normally needed the magic to do everything? That
I
they,
just I just like My Little Pony was
oh, they had a well-established lore and everything, and it feels
oh
like,
they did. It just seems like everything's getting overthought here. Again, I
oh
come at
yeah,
it from the generation where
You had
we
humans in
had,
there.
there were humans in there, but also we had the Sea Pony theme song uh unexpectedly thrust on us, and it has been stuck in our head for
Oh, good God.
40
You showed me
years.
that. You showed me that.
Shoo-be-doo,
Good.
shoo-shoo-be-doo.
I'm more reacting to the way they look. Those heads are not proportionate to the
No,
body.
the animation's terrifying
Oh,
on it, but that song is catchy and evil. So that's interesting, preteen and tween for
the new
the
one.
CGI pony. I guess that explains
To a
yeah.
degree.
I guess that explains some of the celebrity casting.
Yep.
I don't know. That's the problem, though. Eileen just like stuck a pin on the problem, right? That this is
They're
supposed
trying
to
to still
be.
go for the bronies who have already like disregarded because it feels like you don't have any of the stuff we like. I mean, and that's one thing I noticed. There's this big website, one of the main websites, Equestria Daily.
Yes.
It feels like the friendship
Equestria
and
Daily. Okay.
yep, it feels like a lot of the long people who are diehard Friendship is Magic fans who are not liking it have been pushed out. It's like
Push.
you don't like the new show, then
Wow.
I've noticed that because I rarely see them talk. It's always the people who are saying, "Oh my God, I can't wait! Oh God, this looks so awesome and amazing." It's just the praising, the one thing in praise, and those that do it usually then get dumped on, saying like, "Oh, okay, you're right wing extremist."
This is what happened with the I don't remember if I talked about this last time, but this is what happened with He-Man fandom during the
Oh, yep, we did bring that up.
2002
Yep,
reboot. Yeah, that all of us who the gay he fans, as we called ourselves, who were like, this is part of the thing we love about this show in retrospect is that it was a bunch of dudes trying to make a super heterosexual show and didn't realize that Ram
yeah.
Man and Fisto were going to.
You have the, but isn't it Ram Mam now?
Yeah, but I mean, we were making jokes and people were doing fan art of Fisto and He-Man, and there were a
Yep,
lot of Swiftwind jokes,
yep.
and they thought there was going to be this massive influx of kids onto this message board, and suddenly got incredibly homophobic and
Uh,
drove a bunch of us out who were like, you
uh,
know, and I don't know. I think I understand why there's all these reboots, and especially when it's a toy license,
yep.
they want to keep,
The kids.
well, they just want to keep the churn, right? They want to redesign to create a new toy line to get people buying, right? And 30 to 40 people, for 30 to 40 somethings buy toys,
Yep,
right? They're probably going to do one of those terrifying pop figures of a pony or something
yeah.
like that. But
It just
it
tells you that either are they in, do they know? I have a feeling there are some people in the marketing who know what they're doing, and they're not making a big stink about it. And then there's the others who don't, who think they know what they're doing, and they're the ones who are usually the most vocal. It's like, oh, this is not for them. This is not for those people. When it's like the people in the marketing who know what they're doing, like, actually, yeah, it is, but I'm not saying anything.
toy marketing is incredibly cynical.
Mm-hmm.
It's talking to toy marketers, it is all about appeasing. I don't know if I talked about this before, appeasing Walmart with a
Yep.
side of
Yep.
Target,
I think we talked about that last time. Yeah.
yeah, and that's why you'll get 5 Batman designs, 3
Oh, good
Jokers
God. Do
in
you remember those stupid, with the, even as great as the Batman anime series was,
yeah.
do you remember some of those toys that made 0 cents? You're
Yeah,
like,
like Arctic
the heat wave, like
Batman and
Arctic or heat waving
yeah,
Batman?
the red batsuit. Yeah,
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 but one was
yeah.
a little, those long plastic stick thing that's like, woo, 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 woo. No, that was a sonar. That was the sonar Batman.
That's right. That's right.
I'm just
But
like,
yeah,
what the?
these aren't people. A lot of the times when they get the toy license, they haven't even seen the show or the movie as
Now, in those
well.
cases, I can understand, but if it's the people who've owned the license and everything, you'd think they know better.
Yeah, but they don't know better. I mean, that was one of the problems with, what was it? I can never keep the Star Wars Episode 7, the first one with Rey.
Oh, Force Awakens.
Yeah, sorry, Force Awakens. None of the licensors knew licensees knew that Ray was the main character.
They thought it was John Boyega,
They they
or
they
they thought it
went
was the
big
original.
on well, they went big on Kylo Ren because they're like, hey, this guy looks like he's the
Oh yeah,
new
the cool
Anakin
lightsaber.
Skywalker. Yeah, the cool lightsaber, right? And they went big on him, and he wasn't in the movie as much. And the only
Mm.
Rey toy that was out there was in the Disney Infinity playset. And I mean, that could you, they're doing that more and more to avoid spoilers. And I don't
Understandable,
understand it.
understandable. Well, I say that's understandable because how many people look for the toys for spoilers? I mean,
People
look at what
do.
happened. Look at what happened when they labeled those One Division toys, and they had a Mephisto fig in that one.
Right, right. People camp on copyright announcements and things like even with video games, they register a name, and
Mm-hmm.
it's massive news. But the fact that what's his name, Morris plushies were not
Mm-hmm.
in Disney stores and Targets and WalMarts when that movie dropped. I think with
Right.
Shang-Chi, because oh my god, that
Oh, I
little
I enjoyed the
Zhang
movie.
stole the
First of
freaking
all,
show.
first of all,
Oh, I
oh yeah.
yeah, I liked the movie, but I wanted a Morris plushie like right
Mm-hmm.
away. And a lot of the Disney stores have closed in Canada, so we don't know if we're getting them. And I want the nice premium one. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
the Target one that looks like a fuzzy lump of poo. I want the one that like makes the noises and the wings flap, but it's
Yep.
limited two per customer
Of
pre-order,
course.
and it's like $25 shipping on a $40 toy. So by the time you get that in 3 months, I guess they're
Mm-hmm.
timing it for the Disney Plus release. But by the
Yeah.
time you get that, the excitement
The
of
hype has
being
died.
part, right? Well, just that emotional connection, that parasocial relationship isn't there anymore. And
Right.
I get that they wanted that part of the movie to be a big oh wow surprise,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, you couldn't have sworn toy vendors to secrecy, or at least had them available to ship right away.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's so cynical now. Everything's about reducing risk instead of making things that are cool.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
I hear ya. I hear
they
ya.
careen from one, as Eileen's referencing in the
Mm-hmm.
chat, they careen from like one money making opportunity to another making money making
Mm-hmm.
opportunity, not stopping to realize that the thing that's going to make your IP make money for a really long time
Yep.
is the emotional experience, the emotional
Exactly.
connection, right?
That's why when you have some shows that don't make it as toys, but people love the show, it's such a crime. Like Symbiotic Titan or the Green Lantern animated series. Those had such things, but the toys themselves, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I got the baby Yoda in the background, Eileen said. I see baby Yoda, I think they maybe didn't know it was going to be
oh,
such a big thing.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's look how adorable he is. They had to have known.
I think maybe they thought it was going to be a thing, not that big a thing.
Not right away. Not right
I
away.
Yeah, I think they thought that Star Wars fans were
Dead.
too cynical to be, "Who's the baby Yoda, so cute," I think
Forget the old fans. What about the new fans who are going to see it and be like the little kids, the women, anyone, even those who I'm just like, oh,
okay, I pity anybody who's coming into Star Wars and The Mandalorian, because increasingly it is more and more and more
oh,
references.
oh, no argument. It's going to confuse the heck out of them. But the moment you see on that front screen, if they ever showed the kid, the child, Baby
Yeah.
Yoda, you see that, and
Grogu.
then yep, and then you
Yeah.
see that, and then you're like, do you believe the rumor people say that Grogu's supposed to be a play off of Grover?
No. I don't
That's
know.
what
I don't know
that's
what.
what
There's got to be some inside baseball thing George Lucas whispered to Dave Filoni about that name,
yeah.
cuz yeah, it's I do not.
I mean, it'd
I
be cute. It'd be cute if it was a nod to Frank Oz.
Yes, it would be. But I just think they came up with some name that didn't begin with a Y because of the Yoda Yaddle thing. I don't know that there's much deeper. People think. people think too deeply about Star Wars compared to
True.
how the people making it think about Star Wars. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. People
All
do
right.
that to fandoms they love. I remember getting film splained about Lord of the Rings more
Right.
often than I can count because I was bummed. I get why they cut the Barrow White scene, but the Barrow
Right.
White scene was like one of my favorite scenes, just the sheer cool factor in the
Mm-hmm.
Fellowship of the Ring, and of course it flows into the Tom Bombadil thing, which
They
makes no
cut.
sense in
Mm.
context. I get why they cut it, but I had people like freaking pissed at me that I don't like
Mm-hmm.
Tom Bombadil, and then I had people pissed at me because I said a word about their poncy elf boy, smelly human dude slash pairing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that the whole phenomenon around these things gets so emotional so fast, and
Oh yeah.
I do think some of us have to start setting examples
Mm-hmm.
as to going, I'm not big on that creative choice. The problem is you try to have fun with
Mm-hmm.
anything and people misconstrue it,
Yep.
right?
Um, Before we go further, I want to know for a future tie we get to.
Oh,
Have you seen?
sorry, I just figured out Eileen was talking about the porgs. I forgot all
Oh yeah.
about the porgs, and that says something about the sequel
Oh, the
trilogy.
porgs.
I forgot all about the porgs. I remember the weird milking monster with Luke, but I
Because
completely forgot about the porgs.
and it's so obviously why they were created. They were created to be like what Baby Yoda is, and they were for a very short time, and then gone.
I wonder if that's why they missed the Baby Yoda thing, the child thing,
It was gonna be the
because there
porgs
were
again.
so many leftover porgs.
That could be it. But anyway, I was gonna bring up. Have you planned on seeing the new Bond movie?
I'm a Bond fan.
Okay,
I
so
and
I'm
I
not gonna spoil it. I won't spoil the new one because I'm
yeah
aware of what happens at the end, but I won't spoil.
I'm really big on Daniel Craig as Bond. I like the interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say something a little bit controversial right
Go
now.
ahead. Go ahead.
It is getting increasingly difficult to do an accurate Bond film. Sherlock Holmes is held up a lot better than James Bond has,
Yeah. Oh
right?
yeah, and they and I think some of these last movies they've been trying to make that clear. But I think that's also why it took them so long to make this movie because it was so you know.
Yeah, well, it's also the practical stunts they do, and they keep breaking Daniel Craig on these
Well, I can
practical
assure
stunts.
you, I won't say exactly what happens, but I can assure you this does give finality. That's all I'll say. This does give
Yeah,
finality.
it just I don't know, things go in waves. I'm sure there'll be a time where people are less like bent. I just think that no matter what they do with the Bond franchise next, it's going to be a misstep because James Bond is a tangible detail character right down to how he likes his martinis.
It's shaken, not stirred.
Right. It's all about, and that's what the Craig Bond did well. They did a
Hmm.
whole deep dive with Skyfall, going like right back to the books and pulling out
Oh yeah,
major parts. And I mean, people were pissed that what was it M was
Judy
gender,
Dench.
yeah, but she
Well,
eventually
well, to be
was,
fair, that was always a position. That
yeah,
was never her name. So for
yeah,
people to be complaining about that,
yeah.
it's like that's like
And
people complaining saying, "Oh, we have a female 007." He retired.
well,
That was his call numbers, but that doesn't mean that they can't. There was 007s before Bond.
yeah, they did that with with Sean Connery, that he temporarily retired, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know. People are just jumpy, but I
Now if
would
they make a Jane Bond, then I'd complain.
see that's what I do. I'd stick to the double O designation. I wouldn't try to make another James Bond movie right away because
Well, I can tell you. I can
for,
tell you this: they probably won't.
well, first of all, going after Daniel Craig is going to be really tough. It's sort of like
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of people it's going to be like if they recast Wolverine. Please don't. It's a bad idea. But yeah, I mean,
What also helps is that these past four movies, more than any other Bond movie, have been an ongoing storyline.
yeah, it's also they're trying to be reverential but
Mm-hmm.
also referential with what they're doing with Bond. You know, they've dropped a lot of homoeroticism into it, which I find kind of amusing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they've tried to sort of maintain the core of the character but modernize it, because obviously a lot of elements of James Bond are, I'm going to go there, it's going to be air quotes, problematic.
Mm-hmm.
And we live in an age where we're not allowed to examine whether something is a problem
Oh,
or not. The
brother.
minute it hits problematic, just get it away, get it away, get it away. Right.
Uh,
um and then we do get in, as Eileen referred to, the Americanization of
mm,
these very British characters.
very much so. Because, well, that's because Bond has become more of a hit in America that just happens to be British.
Well, it's a moneymaker,
Yeah.
right? And so yeah. um and
She makes
yeah.
a good point. She makes a good point.
Oh, Hugh Jackman wasn't comics. It took me a while to, when I found out who cast Wolverine. I'm like, he's not short. I'm not buying what they're selling here. He's not short.
I
Uh,
agree. It's like he's not the. Like
but
when Kitty. I always say this: if Kitty or Jubilee are shorter than Wolverine, you know something's wrong.
well, yes, but so much was wrong with the Rogalee Anna Paquin thing
You're right.
that I I was not big on the Singer X-Men films. That made me profoundly unpopular. I think my favorite X-Men film is probably Logan, just
Mm-hmm.
because that's getting kind of the closest to one interpretation in the comics. But yeah,
Yep.
it
I'd have to argue with her on this one, mostly because of the fact that it's more because Tom Taylor's driving me crazy with how he acts like Laura is the only Wolverine, and oh, isn't it cool that that Logan is borrowing it? It's like, okay, I get you're being funny because you wrote her that way, but it's really driving me nuts. How there's some people who truly take what he's saying and believing it, like saying she's the true Wolverine. Logan lost it.
well, this is my issue with legacy characters in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, everyone is right here. Uh, the thing is that whenever you take, like, I don't know what they're going to do with Ironheart. I'm worried about that one,
Oh yeah.
because it's the same thing with these Black Superman properties,
Mm,
right? The minute it's, the character's name is not Black Superman, the character's name is Superman, and the minute you have to
mm-hmm.
put a modifier on it, it's not John Henry Irons. Like, can we please
Right.
just make a cool Steel movie? Oh
And
wait,
I
they've,
will take Calvin Ellis because he is so radically different than Clark.
right. But you know, as long
Yeah.
as it's the blank something, it's never going to be the thing people immediately think of, as opposed to Black Panther
Mm-hmm.
or Storm, or you know, any of these other characters that are hardwired somebody who's not white.
Right. Ugh.
Can we please get more of that? They don't, because instead of, see, I think they should take comic books and just say to the creators, don't lose too much money, but your priority is to tell new stories and um create new characters so that they're like the big franchises of
Yeah.
tomorrow, right? Weave in new characters to existing books. Go ahead, create, because
Yeah.
have we had a breakout character since like X-23 and Hush?
Kamala Khan, I would say. It was.
Kamala Khan, and people still, like, some people still scream blue murder. But again, Kamala Khan, what's her superhero name? She's Kamala Khan, right?
Marvel Girl.
Yeah, okay, Marvel Girl, but people don't know that. People call her Kamala Khan.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's a franchise. I mean, the whole Marvel thing with Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel in my head will always be Shazam. I know that
Right.
makes me old, but you know, Jack Kirby and Stan Lee were going, let's just create characters and let's make them different. And
Exactly.
you
And now,
know,
and don't get me started when you hear people say, you know what I say on the opposite end, I can't stand is, it's like the stuff with God of War. Oh, good God, the stuff with God of War. But they're saying, well then, should we take any of these African gods and make them all white? It's like, screw you guys.
wait, oh, are they talking about Agabora?
Yeah,
Yeah, I was super excited about that casting.
yeah, but
I
you get what I'm
I
saying, right? When people are trying to say, well, would they like if we make all the African gods white? It's like,
it's
drives
I
me
don't
nuts.
they first of all, it's one character. The background of the character is she is not a seer.
Mm-hmm.
The actress, if you've seen The Equalizer, is a freaking adorable, but the character's name is uh one of well, they do they refer to her as his wife, but one of the women, one of Loki's baby mamas
Yep,
in
yep.
North Smith. Um she's like the mother of monsters type character,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm like,
Oh.
okay. And people look at these weird surface details, but do you remember when the 2018 game came out and they did the shift to North Smith and everybody was a huge jerk one way or the other
Mm-hmm.
about everything with that
Oh
game.
yeah.
And then everybody promptly forgot they were huge jerks about everything about that game
Yep.
because it was so good.
Yep.
I
Oh,
sus-
boy, hypocrisy. What's that?
yeah, but I suspect it's going to be the same thing as long as it is fun to play, as
Mm-hmm.
long as they keep that fantastic level design and very deliberate combat intact and tell a halfway decent story, people will be people will be good with it. They will
Oh,
be
I know.
satisfied. They will I mean, people Balder was a freaking redneck in God of War 19. People complain that Freya wasn't hot enough. A lot of people confuse Freya and Frigga that
I think
way.
so. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty for what they were doing. Every choice
Mm-hmm.
they made sense, and so uh I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt that what they're doing makes sense this time as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Definitely.
I don't know why it's the same reason it's the same way people it's a polar switch, right? But the same way people
Mm-hmm.
freaked out about one frame from the last trailer for Project
Mm-hmm.
Eve, that
Right.
video
Oh
game.
yeah. Oh, you mean the booty shot?
Yeah, it's like you're complaining that a character is not clothed enough when it's a biblical reference to a naked character.
Mm-hmm.
We've lost the plot when people start doing that.
Yeah.
Right. It's so weird to me how the show Lucifer just kind of skates past all of this. I don't know how they do some really clever stuff on
Yep.
that show and there aren't these eruptions. I don't know if like Lucifer fandom is the one fandom in current year that still knows how to have a good time with shit.
Like, but the fact that he can make a cameo in the Crisis,
Yeah.
and yet it gets you right up nowhere, but you're like, you don't argue with it.
It made sense though, and it was a cool little
Oh yeah,
call
especially with
out.
Constantine.
Well, people have forgotten that Lucifer is a DC Comics character. They've
Yeah.
just made it their own thing. And
Mm-hmm.
see, those are the things, shows like that and Legends of Tomorrow, they do a
Mm-hmm.
lot of inclusive stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't freak out. And they keep getting renewed. Well, Lucifer just embraced the silly and rolled with it. But Lucifer also did auto apotheosis through drag. I was watching that episode. That's a recent season one, but I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that that's a big swing. There
Mm-hmm.
wasn't outrage about it. People
Uh,
didn't lose it. People didn't get pissed off that why does he have a black brother? It was kind of a joke. And
right.
you know, it's like the one freaking fandom that in Legends of Tomorrow that's able
Mm-hmm.
to have an adorable lesbian wedding in one episode and doesn't
Yep.
get, oh, this is just woke shit. You know,
Uh,
I maybe it's again, it is so ridiculous that
mm-hmm.
the audience just goes, we're adults, we can have a good time. But trying to get people into these shows is really hard. And I don't know why. I've tried to um oh, guaranteed, Eileen. I mean, they
Right.
kind of infer that. It's kind of funny that Legends of Tomorrow has been a better Constantine show than the
Mm-hmm.
Constantine show, and they apparently pulled him out because
She's referencing the Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, whatever. Because that was actually done in one of the animated
yeah,
movies.
in one of the animated movies, but Constantine is rather um what's a good euphemism for it? He gets around on Legends.
Yeah.
Like the first thing a lot of diehard Constantine fans ask me about Legends of Tomorrow is they say, do they make him bisexual? And I'm like, oh yes. And they're like,
Oh yeah.
yeah. And you
What really
know,
bothered me is these people are supposed to be, especially those who are supposed to be diehard comic fans, and yet they act like, oh, it was never done, and then you show it to them, and you're like, this actually happened long ago, and they still complain. Like they ignore what you're saying.
well, they don't want to know. And that's the
Yeah.
thing. I I've been thinking more and more about the Netflix strategy of
Hmm.
outrage baiting. And if it didn't work, they wouldn't keep doing it.
Right.
And I don't know how people have the energy to, cuz let's face it, it's a whole ecosystem, right? It's
Hmm.
not just they don't get upset about one thing that they're really super close to. They jump from drama to drama to drama channel to outrage
Yeah.
to what the heck. And I admit I thought it was pretty funny that most of the response to the new Mario movie was just funny dunks as opposed to people
Hmm.
getting really, really angry. And yes, the new Suicide Squad movie was
Yep.
fucking brilliant. It
Agreed.
that and Shang-Chi saved my freaking summer in terms
Hmm.
of movies.
Oh, what about Free Guy? You didn't see Free Guy?
See, Free Guy, I was so loved it, hated it, loved it, hated it, loved it, hated it, loved it, hated it.
I do not like how people just decided to jump on and start hating it because they started posting some of the clips down and say, like, oh, I hated it. Why was it so good? Oh, no one. It's like, okay, bullshit.
See,
It.
I just saw it because a game dev buddy of mine said it's not at all how games are made. Go into
Well,
it
duh.
with that. No, the thing, Ryan Reynolds is so gosh darn likable. And that was the whole purpose of this movie, is to basically make Ryan Reynolds a sim and make him gosh darn
Mm-hmm.
likable and then
And
slowly
it
turn the
worked.
sim into the Doom Marine,
Oh,
right?
yep, yep. Yeah,
Or
and
his
yet the Doom Marine, but still have a smile on his face. No,
right.
Doom Marine when he has his bunny
Yes, 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 with Daisy.
with Daisy.
With Daisy. But there was a big thing in it that, first of all, I was really happy to see the dude from Stranger Things get another part.
Mm-hmm.
That made me happy, but I couldn't stand game dev Muse Girl.
Oh,
And what okay, can I do sort of spoilers?
go ahead. Go right ahead. Go right
It's not the
ahead.
core of the plot, but
Well,
there's
I did a spoiler review a while ago, so go ahead.
okay, so um the basics of the core story that drives a plot that really has nothing to do
Mm-hmm.
with the story is that a guy and a girl make a game together, right?
Yep.
Guy is secretly in love with girl. They
Yep.
sell to big evil game dev played amazingly by Taika Waititi. Oh my god, I
He
love
is
that
such a
man.
millennial a billionaire.
There were discussions behind the scenes about who specifically in gaming that was making fun of.
I can
Um,
understand.
yeah, I'm not going to name any names right now, but he was brilliant.
Hmm.
But okay, so you got guy, heart of gold, nerd guy, brilliant game developer, right?
Right.
Made a game with this chick.
Yep.
And outside of the game, she is absolutely ordinary in every way. They don't
Mm-hmm.
actually she's one of those girls that, oh yeah, she's in there for the making of thing, but what did she actually do in the game other to serve as inspiration? The things that they say end up in the game were the kind of ice cream she likes and how she takes her coffee, and you're supposed to believe she's this
I
woman
I
who.
think she did programming with. I think they did imply she did a lot of the programming with him on it, but it
But
was more of the more technical
okay,
coding. I
but
think.
no, but hold on. If she did the coding in the game, why was she surprised by all the things that were included? All the little
Because
mods.
remember, because as far as she's not 100% certain that it's based on their game, she has a good feeling of it, enough to do a lawsuit, but she's not certain on it.
You'd know if it was your code though.
No, yeah,
You
oh yeah, you
know?
know if it was your code, yes.
Right. Yeah. But
But
like
that's where the fictional side of things was like,
but
no, no,
no, hear
you.
me out though. Hear me out though. Hear me out.
Yep.
All she does all day is basically play Saints Row meets Fortnite. Okay? She is awful to that dude. She ignores him, she gaslights him,
Oh
and
yeah.
and he stays in love with her anyway. And I'm like, this is bad for everybody. First of all, it's like, ladies, if you want a guy to fall madly in love with you, be useless with tangible details. But
Hmm.
also, guys, if a woman ignores you like that, next, you
Especially like
know,
my guy. I'm like, your guy.
yeah, and okay, he makes this avatar, and the avatar, she falls in love with the freaking avatar. Like they're doing a Superman Clark Kent thing, okay,
Hmm.
but it is just such toxic Hollywood romance bullshit, and
Now, in his
we need
defense,
to really start rethinking what is considered romance,
now I would say though,
right?
in his defense, I do at least approve of the fact that we for once had to be the oblivious girl, not the guy for one. But all the other details, I agree with you on.
See, I've seen that oblivious girl, I call it the
I don't
reverse
see.
Taylor Swift, right? Over and over and over again in nerd fiction. Right, going
That's
back to the 80s, it was
that's true.
always this girl who had nothing in common with this guy, but
Hmm.
he's in love with her because
Yeah,
why?
that's true, I haven't seen it done in this way where it's the girl who realizes it without the boy confessing.
Yes. Well, and in a way though, he did confess through this
Well,
avatar. And
true.
yeah, I liked the actress playing the two parts.
Oh
This
yeah,
is the difference between the actress and the character
Jodie
as
Comer.
yeah, and the character as designed. I thought she was really cool as like the in-game avatar.
Oh,
That
with
was
the
the
accent and everything.
yeah. I
You're like,
thought she
where's
did
your
a
accent?
really
Never mind about that.
but it was just one detail in the movie where it's like I wish they'd made her real life persona more interesting. Gave her
Agreed.
something to do that wasn't wear pink headphones and eat bubblegum ice cream and have coffee in a certain way and play this fucking game all day, ignoring the dude from Stranger Things. And seriously,
Mm.
who the fuck ignores the dude from Stranger Things? Like, the
Yeah.
fuck? You know?
I mean,
And
it's one thing to say, "Oh, she's still mad at him for choosing the corporation over it," but like he said, he had debts to pay, and she's
yeah.
doing a lawsuit that's going to, if they fail, add more debt.
Okay, but the other thing is, that's kind of the smart thing because if they don't acquire you, they are going to copy you and blow
mm,
you out of the water. The minute your game comes out, they're just going to reverse engineer your code, do the exact same thing. So you take the money and just go make another game.
that's true.
Like it, but that's why, game dev friend goes, it's not how games are made. It's not how games work. Because he warned me because he said, I know you will be mad about this if I don't warn you. I
Yeah.
get to see him out of nowhere, like you planning to see Free Guy. It's like, well, it's the double feature at the drive-in with which I forget what it was, but yeah, I'll probably watch it. Okay, I'm gonna warn you. So
Okay. Yep. Good thing he did then, huh?
I think I enjoyed the movie better, as a straight up comedy with a weak romance subplot.
Oh yeah.
It was good overall. It was
Uh,
that one part I think would have taken it from a movie that I say, yeah, it was okay, to something I would have been 100% on board with.
oh right, right. Now, but I would say though, it was still a better romance than other romances that have been done horribly.
Well, name a really good romance the last little bit, other than Dr. Sean Murphy and Leia. That one's growing on me.
You're right.
I hated
I'm
Leia at first, but she's growing on me.
I'm trying to think of a good romance that's been done lately, and it's kind of I had to have to think on that one. I'd really have to think on that one.
See, this is the thing. We are in an era of hookup,
Mm,
right? We are
it's like I've
not.
said this to someone before. This is why I always go in for friendship first, then relationship, because friendship gives you a good structure.
I mean, everybody's. I agree with you. Everybody's flipping out about Bridgerton, but I couldn't get past the first episode of that show.
Wait, what show?
Yeah. Bridgerton,
No idea
the
about that.
Netflix Austinian costume
Ah,
drama with that
okay.
very, very pretty dude. What's his
Mm-hmm.
name? Jean something Page. He's very, very pretty, very pretty.
Right, right.
You know who's a great romance is I mentioned before, but I forgot. Eva
Oh,
and Sarah on Legends of Tomorrow.
oh, yep, yep.
That legitimately good, believable relationship. They actually make you buy that they are right for each other, even though they are both very strange, damaged people. You
Definitely.
know, but they thought that went out. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like let's throw them together because, yeah, Bridgerton is a Shonda show,
Mm-hmm.
and Shonda Rhimes shows always have like likable female lead involved with a very, very toxic man. I guess she
Mm-hmm.
knows what sells, but it's just that seems to be. I haven't watched a ton of Shondaland stuff. I did get into Scandal,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean that show's right in the name,
Right.
right? It is what it is. But yeah, Bridgerton, I don't like. Um, I don't like it when they're trying to sell a relationship where one person is just such an asshole.
Oh, I agree. Oh, I agree. I agree. And I think because we're meant to follow more her game character as opposed to her real world character, which is like they're the same thing. We shouldn't look at them as different things.
See, in the case of Free Guy, I think they just didn't think it through.
Right.
Right? In the case of Bridgerton, they were going for that Austinian, aloof, you know,
Yep.
archetypical, but because they modern audienced it,
Uh,
unintended things happened, and you got something I could just
I
not
hear.
not continue with the. I don't know if you've played Near Automata, but after a point in
Yep.
watching the
Yep.
show, I get a this cannot continue, this cannot continue happen in my head, and I have to
Yep.
stop it. It's um and I like this is a again with the Free Guy thing. I'm doing it wrong because I'm saying overall I like the movie. There was just like this one thing. Um
Mm-hmm.
and that's why sort of Shang-Chi and Suicide Squad saved the summer for me in terms of movies because every decision they made was
Mm-hmm.
thought out, and I understood why they made the choices they made
Oh
in
yeah.
the movie.
I'll say
Yeah,
Shang
well,
Chi
let's
saved Captain Marvel for me because, good God, it felt like Brie Larson finally, was acting more like how she normally would.
okay, she's barely in it, but
Yeah, but in those few moments, she showed way more personality than she did throughout the entirety of her other appearances in the MCU.
okay, but that's because okay, how many movies did it take Black Widow to have a personality?
Ooh, good question. Good
About
point.
4, right?
That is good.
The one that's hey, they gave Yelena a personality right off the bat. I'm looking forward to see
Hmm.
more of her, right? I'm
They
trying
even
to
gave
remember
Scarlet Witch.
Reggie
It took.
Jean Page. Is that the dude from Bridgerton?
I
I don't
think
want to say a guy's just like oh so pretty and not know his name. That's really bad. But
I'm looking it
sorry,
up.
chat
I'm
thing.
looking it up.
But
Um, yeah,
was it
Reggie
Civil
Jean
War?
Page,
Yeah, there we
Simon
go.
Bassett.
Yeah. Was it Civil War where Black Widow became really, really invested in Cap's personal life?
No, no. That was actually Winter Soldier.
That was Winter Soldier. Okay. So
So
it
that took
was
about one, two,
Iron
three.
Man 2, First Avengers.
No, no, first
Um,
Avenger does not count. No, no, the first Avengers
the
movie.
first
Sorry,
Avengers movie, not Captain America: The First Avenger.
sorry,
I
that's where we
know
are.
these titles.
Avengers
Okay,
one. I would say Avengers one, Avengers Age of Ultron,
was
and then
Ultron
Cap.
before Winter Soldier?
Uh, no, you're right. It was no, you're right. In Winter Soldier, Age of Ultron was after Winter Soldier
So okay,
because
so it took 3 movies for
yeah.
them to figure out what Black Widow's personality was, and then they dropped away from it, and
Mm-hmm.
then they picked a different personality that wasn't that one for the Black Widow movie.
Yep.
They got so uh, the problem with Black Widow is they went for the Whedon take on her. Never go for the Whedon take
It
on a
was
female
fine for that.
character.
It was
No, it
no
wasn't.
for
No,
the
it
first
wasn't.
movie.
Oh God. I hate Joss Whedon. I have hated Joss
Well, I
Whedon
understand that.
since Buffy. Like the Buffy movie, okay, but the Buffy series after about season 3, I'm like, this guy's bad news. Then I did know someone who was badly abused on set by him.
Yikes.
But even before that, I'm like, this guy hates women on a deep, deep, deep level because it's not just one thing, it's everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a great combination of memes, BM, because we can't say the full Tropic Thunder thing anymore. So
Never
we
go forward.
never go full Whedon. Never, ever, ever go full Whedon. Half Whedon, you will win a fucking Oscar, but never, ever go
Well,
full
I
Whedon.
was just say myself, I did like her introduction in the first Avenger movie where it's like these guys are giving me what I want, and it's like
No, I hated that. I
you did
hated
it.
that. It was too sexualized.
All
If
right.
if you have ever been in a situation where you are cornered and roughed up by 3 men, you do not feel in control, and that is not empowering.
So,
You
all
know,
right. All right.
I have been
Even someone
cornered.
like of her skill.
Um, it's not a real thing, and it's a rape
True.
myth
True.
that when she's not in control, she's secretly in control. That is Whedon's sickness. If
All
you
right. All
read
right.
all through everything he said, these women who worked for him, these beautiful young women, they were really the ones tempting him, not the other way around. So
Okay.
these
Fair
women
enough.
he
Fair
was
enough.
abusing were secretly in control, and he dumped that into Black Widow.
I didn't. I was
And
not aware of that. I honestly
there
was
was
not
another
aware.
way. If she hadn't been doing O face and her face hadn't been like spritzed and perfect and brilliantly lit, if it was actually like they did
Roughed
this
up.
better in yeah, they did this better in some of the fights in the Black Widow movie where she looks like she's actually sweating, not just, a schwitz. Um it it could have been done differently, but they just every so often that sort of luck runs out. She doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have any telepathy. That just suggests she's really, really lucky. And
Oh yeah.
the realities of spy work are you get into that, you're dead. You get
Mm-hmm.
into those situations too often, they pull you because you're reckless.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like Whedon put his own fetish into a movie and then threw a bunch of misogyny at her, and people thought that was empowerment. Even though it isn't, it's
Mm-hmm.
misogyny. And
All right.
plus
I
a
never looked
bunch
at it that
of
way.
other characters. I mean, what the fuck was that weird Hulk relationship with
Oh,
her?
okay. Yeah, that I will agree with on. That made zero sense whatsoever. And now I can understand a bit of her like, hey, big guy, and calming him down. That is fine. Haven't actually become a full blown relationship? No. For one, what does it say about Betty Ross?
Yes. Yeah, when Betty Ross was back in Marvel
Especially
What If, I was like, "Oh my god,
oh my
she's so
god!
dirty."
I mean, I know because like, okay, we knew these things had to have happened because they referenced it slightly in the other movies, and we still had General Ross around. Where's
Yeah,
his daughter?
yeah. Just they took one of
Lived
those
like it's
Marvel
like
pairings and went whoop. Just
oh yeah, come on, it's Liz Tyler or Jennifer Connelly if you want to bring her back. Either one.
yeah, like that. That was just so. I felt so bad for Betty with that, but also just, I mean, I've
Now, to be fair, I
ranted.
only think they did it because they realized, oh boy, we have no choice since we're referencing Incredible Hulk. We have to bring Betty. I have a feeling they didn't want to. I have a feeling.
Well, it's a licensing thing with the
Right?
Incredible Hulk, right? I think Universal, or
But
but
they're able to get Ross, so how can they not get Betty back? That's what bothers me.
they worked her out with they worked it out with Spider-Man.
Right?
So why not? And I really like Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner. I think he does a really good job, but
He does do a good job doing a interpretation of Banner. I wouldn't say the interpretation of Banner that I've always seen.
right,
I
right.
definitely think that oh, what was his name? From
Eric Bana?
no, the other one. Edward
Oh,
Norton. Edward
Edward,
Norton.
yeah.
I think Norton came closer to doing it. Banner, I'm sorry, I do not like Banner whenever he does in general a
That whole thing with
emotionless
Edward
performance.
Norton was a weird story, though. I
Oh no!
mean,
Oh, I agree. It was weird, but I think
yeah.
you kind of get this feeling of this incredible mind in Norton that's hidden under all of this. You know,
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
not get that with Banner. I got Banner as this. I'm a socially inept, person who just happens
Okay.
to.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
Yeah, like
Um,
Banner should be this kind of guy who has this intelligence that could destroy so much of the world if he could be more dangerous than the Hulk
yeah.
if he wanted to.
But do you notice that the dudes all have, well, okay, except for Bucky, who, let's
Mm-hmm.
face it, uh, he's the guy who lusts after girls who are already taken
Mm-hmm.
because but all the guys have girlfriends that have nothing to do
Mm-hmm.
with superheroing, and they always got to put the woman on the team with one of the dudes on the team.
Why?
And that is the question, why, right? Like, why can't they
Mm.
realize that a woman like that, would she want a superhero dude, or would she want a guy who was her Mary Jane or Lois Lane, or you
Well, it
know
depends. Obviously, it depends on the hero. Depends on it all. Like, I'm a fan of Superman and Lois. I am not a fan of Superman and Wonder Woman. But I,
preach.
but I am a fan of Spider-Man and Black Cat. But I also know it's not going to ever work in the
Well,
long run.
yeah, that's different though, because she's the temptation,
Well, she's a temptation. I'm talking about
right?
the Black Cat after the way we had Felicia after Spidey and MJ got married, where she finally mellowed out, matured.
Right.
I wanted him to marry that particular one, but you can't get that one because you need him to be married to Mary Jane for her to finally mellow out.
See, the ending of the second Burton Batman film
Mm-hmm.
has Catwoman doing a treatise on why the Batman Catwoman thing isn't right. And the
Oh yeah,
rest of
they're
the
both. They're
dialogue,
both.
but the rest of the dialogue in the movie is atrocious. And so I think that's part of the reason it landed with me when she talks about, she'd love to live in a house with a white picket fence and all that stuff with him, but she just
Mm-hmm.
couldn't live with herself.
Oh yeah, but I would say, but you know what really sold me was Selena in there during that whole, like, after she pulled out, revealed the gun that she was going to shoot Max with, and then Bruce is trying to talk to her. She then starts, it's like going from smiling to crying at the same
Mhm.
time. You're like, I don't know. It's
I
just
mean,
like,
every character in that movie was reimagined from the comics,
oh
right? Like
yeah.
like you said, none of these are canon interpretations, and
Mm-hmm.
that's fine,
Oh yeah,
right?
that's fine.
Some the Penguin stuff stuck,
Mm.
but yeah, that's another thing Eileen pointed out: the fact that you've got these women in love with the superhero
Eh,
persona,
again,
not
that is traditional Felicia, but that's again why I like. I'll say this, but it only applies for the first three issues, not the last three. I love Kevin Smith's Spider-Man Black Cat mini, the first three issues of it,
yeah,
not the last three he did. And
and
then when she said like, I was such an idiot. I
right.
love both sides of the mask, and it
But
tells that.
here's the thing. That's guys guessing what strong women are interested in men. And I remember this one friend of mine, she was a cosplay buddy of mine, but she one day she was just like, and she says, "You know what's really romantic? A clean fucking kitchen." And these women with jobs and busy lives and these dual lives and everything like that, and the fact that they think that women like that, who are exceptional, just want the superhero instead of the guy who's gonna not be threatened and not bothered by the fact that the house is probably a fucking mess and they're probably eating a lot of takeout or DoorDash, and she's
Right.
not gonna have time for that stuff. They never think about this stuff because it's just this weird, like, nerd inferiority complex. Instead
Mm-hmm.
of recognizing that, hey, no, that woman with aspirations and really got it going on, she's
Mm-hmm.
not gonna fall for that typical, oh, I want the ego boost boyfriend.
Uh,
She's gonna want the Peter Parker. Well, Peter Parker disappears a lot, but the nice guy, like Tom Holland's
oh
Peter
yeah.
Parker in those movies, like, yeah, he'd be somebody that are, because he's so sweet and present and kind of goofy and not afraid to be vulnerable,
Oh yeah.
right?
Whereas Andrew Garfield, I'm sorry, emo. That is emo Peter more than
I only
Tobey
saw the
Maguire.
I only saw the one movie because I did not want to see the death of Gwen Stacy.
I don't blame you, but
I
I'm just
Emma
saying.
Stone was so great.
Oh, she was that. Now
Oh,
talk
she's
about great chemistry
so
those two had.
good. I just love her in everything she's in, but she was
Mm-hmm.
such a great. I'm with Eileen. I know that Spider-Man and MJ are
That
basically self-inserts with Stan Lee and his wife. I understand
really? I didn't know
the
about that part.
yeah, well, she was married when they met.
Oh no, that
And
one I part. No,
yeah.
that part I knew. And he looked at her. And he always said it. I looked at her and said, "I'm gonna marry that woman."
Yeah, I'm already married. We can fix that. I heard that from Stan the man himself.
Mm-hmm.
But um
Well,
I
before we go further, one thing about relationship, one thing also about Shang-Chi, he does never gets with his friend. You kept on thinking like they were going to play that up, but like, no, she's just his best friend.
okay, but there's a reason in that movie, and I'm trying to avoid spoilers with that. But
Yeah, but I'm just saying, there's
the
moments where you
reason
keep
the
thinking.
reason Katie and Shang do not get together is because it would make her mother way too happy, and
That's
that's
true.
one
That
of
is true too.
that's one of those nods to the Asian American experience. But getting back to
Right, right. I just wanted to
Peter
bring that
Parker and
up.
MJ is a character they have, and people are going to hate me for this, a character that is never effectively modernized into what the equivalent of Mary Jane Parker back then would have been. I kind
Okay,
of
no, no, no.
like
I get what you mean. I get. It took me a moment to
I
realize what you mean, but I get it.
I dig the Zendaya thing, but she's not Mary Jane, right? She's
No, no, she's definitely
MJ.
not.
And I think that's how they sidestep the issue, because I kind of like the fuck the world cynicism take, because
Right.
it she has a personality,
Oh yeah. Well,
right?
I like. I'm starting to like MJ in the PlayStation game.
She's really good.
And in
The
fact, that's closer.
Insomniac,
It's kind of like mixing 616 and Ultimate because Ultimate
how
wanted to be a reporter.
how far in are you?
Actually, I'm not at all. My friends told me all about it, and I've watched the cinematics.
They they handled her character motivations quite well
Oh yeah, from what I've seen,
in
and the comics
yeah.
expand on that because did you know in the comics they actually have her be the one that helps bring down Felicia?
Yeah, they try with her,
Oh no, and like no, I'm just saying in the comic, no, they do, and it's perfect because basically it's like Felicia acts like I'm the best person, the one for him, and and MJ's just like yeah, huh? And it turns out she called the police on Gwen, and Gwen,
but I mean
like Gwen, I am fine,
the
Felicia.
thing, that particular Mary Jane, she's interesting. There's something to her. She's not just pretty,
Oh
right?
yeah,
It
well,
says something about Peter that
and I
this
say
is
every
who
during
he's interested in.
The GMS era, MJ was also beyond just being a pretty face.
Yeah, but
Heck,
they didn't go
Mark Malone.
full they didn't
True,
go full, like, troubled home like they did in the Tobey
true, because
Maguire films.
oh, that's true. Well, I said JMS and J. Michael Straczynski's run, so by that point they're well past that.
See, that's the thing, is instead of making Mary Jane an interesting character like they do in the video game, and
Mm-hmm.
actually give her some moments where when she finally explains why she's behaving the way she is, it's like, yeah, that makes sense.
It does. It
Well
does.
done. that's somebody actually seeing Mary Jane as a character. What
Yep.
there's this problem. I'm sorry, I'm going to speak sacrilege.
Go ahead.
There's a problem in Big Two comics
Mm-hmm.
where a lot of male writers try to write women, but they're comic nerds. They don't even really talk to women. I know that's a
Mm-hmm.
stereotype, but you meet some of these guys and it's true,
That's true.
right?
The ones that write better women, the ones that are married and have a wife that they could actually talk to about it. Now, that's
Or
not guaranteed. That's not a guarantee, but
or in some cases who are gay, right? And so they
oh,
have
that too.
they have female friends that can see women as people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is that they don't actually know how to write a woman as a person. Women are
Very
the
true.
other, women are this unattainable thing. Women are
No
this
kidding.
vessel that they're pouring not only their hopes and dreams into, but also all their
Mm-hmm.
insecurities. And
Oh, brother.
does anybody want to look at a male superhero or a guy in comics and see their insecurities reflected back at them?
Not really, but some would argue Peter might be one of those.
But Peter is
No,
an
I'm saying that as a
everyman.
joke. I'm
No,
saying that as a
that's you're right. So let me address that. Peter has real problems,
mm-hmm.
but Peter is still a hero. Peter still
Oh
defeats the
yeah.
villain. Peter gets wins. There's
Yep.
always a trade-off, right? I thought the ending to the Insomniac Spider-Man game was really brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
Oh,
there isn't
BM's
that
right.
arc. Yeah, there and yeah, but it's almost like getting the girl is some kind of, oh, you're not a nerd anymore. And it's that
I'm sorry.
whole,
I'm sorry.
you know, see, that should be the moment. Well, that is the point. Is this going to continue? First time
Yeah.
he sees her, hears you on the toilet, or she hears your or sees you on the toilet. That person might be a keeper if they're still around after that. But
Oh
like
yeah.
these are the things that, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm going all woke or anything like
No,
that
no,
and
no, no.
dumping on male
I
this
don't
this
think so.
moment.
I gotta tell you, I don't think so right now. You're making
Yeah,
a good argument.
yeah.
You're not being like one of those who just simply do to the old, oh, men are blah.
And that's the thing. I think that these because let's face it, love interests are foil relationships, right? They do a really good job on Superman and Lois of making Lois Lane interesting and
Mm-hmm.
making their relationship really good.
And there's
Foil
some writers who get
characters,
it right. There are some writers who get it right with Superman and Lois in the comics. Greg Rucker used to get them right. Used to.
yes, but we'll leave that there.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
his adventures of Lois, the moment when she got shot. Good
yeah.
God, I wanted to cry. I wanted to cry because
Yeah, they torture Lois way too much. Superman and Lois should be a stable relationship. Period. End of
oh,
story.
well, it
Right?
was fine under his, but even if at the same time Chuck Austin's trying to break her up with to be with Lana, at the same time, totally ruining a great moment by saying, "Oh, turns out this moment when Lois got shot, I was distracted because I was thinking about what Lana said to me." I'm like, "Bull, you just dumped on what Rucker did."
There's a real animosity for Lois Lane in some. There's a real animosity for Lois Lane and a real animosity for like Scott Summers
Uh,
in corners of comic book
oh,
writing, and
Jason Aaron hates Cyclops. Are you kidding?
I don't know why. I know we're jumping all over the place, guys,
Hey,
and not
when
necessarily
haven't we?
finishing a
When
thought.
haven't we on these streams?
Yeah, but I I have always thought Scott Summers is a really interesting character.
Oh yeah.
And I liked what was it Grant Morrison who had him do this whole speech that he's uptight basically because he had the responsibilities of an adult thrust on him when he was
Oh,
like
I
15
think he
years
did say.
old.
I think he did say it, but it's all the same writer who had him have an affair in the mental scape with Emma Frost.
See, I had no problem with that because Gene treated him like shit.
Oh no, I
And
agree.
I think Scott Summers. There's a lot of missed potential. That is a character that I would love to write.
But I didn't like his reasons. Though. I was like, oh, he just agreed with what Emma said, saying, oh, it's all in the mind though. It doesn't count as cheating if it's in the mind. It's like it is when your wife's another telepath.
Hold up, though. Gene had already cheated on him how many goddamn times before he took that step? Why was it bad when he did it?
Well, I
They
don't
had
think
to age
did
her
they wait.
up.
Did they ever did she ever cheat on him while they were married? 'Cause I
No,
don't
but
think they
they
cheated.
were together. Jean was 16 and then she banged Wolverine and suddenly she was
Well,
19 in that damn
did
book.
that ever? Did that ever actually happen in the comics? Because I do not recall them ever actually banging in the
Oh, it,
comic.
it was a whole cuz I'm just like to me Wolverine and Jean are a chivalric thing. It's samurai code. The minute it's consummated, I toss the fucking book. They don't understand. So I remember that panel and I remember I was like, "Hold up. She's underage." And then they changed it. This was really, really, really early on in the run. And that
All
put
right.
me off that whole run. But, I do think that whole Scott and Emma thing
Mm-hmm.
said a real important truth about relationships, regardless of gender, is when you're not all in, the other person's not going to be all in either. And you
True.
can't really blame, relationships fail because of two people unless somebody's like got serious problems. If somebody cheats on you, it's not your fault.
All right,
But
I gotta take this, Dave. It's
yeah,
because much like with
yeah,
how they're immune to their own brother's powers,
right,
he's not harmed by his own powers. That's the answer. So his own eyelids and everything is because his skin is impervious to his own powers.
right, right. I like I said, I actually thought the reasons were not good, but I believed that just because Scott Summers is treated like the taken for granted sure thing
Mm-hmm.
so often. And someone event I know real life relationships where that's where someone was treated and that's
Oh
exactly
yeah.
what they did. They didn't get into a sexual
It's
relationship.
that
They
whole
found
notion.
emotional comfort.
It's that whole. Oh, you think I'm such a great guy, huh? That I never do this to you, huh?
Well, it's not that. It's that
True. Well, I'm not saying that's intentionally, but deep down in their mind, they're thinking that.
well, think about what it feels like to be the person that is always there when, Jean's done getting attention from the more exciting bad boy guy.
True.
That's
That's why I always prefer
bullshit.
Wolverine. That's why I always prefer Wolverine with Storm. I'll be honest. I liked when Claremont was kind of teasing that.
Wolverine is another character with a ton of potential, and they've got him into this cyclical tragedy with
Yeah.
relationships with Origin, and I'm not
Mm.
super crazy about that. Um, Again, because well, it depends on how he's written, right? There's like four different Wolverines
Mm-hmm.
in terms of because one of them is because he lost his memory. He's this old dude, but he's got the emotional capacity of like a 15-year-old guy.
Yep.
That's interesting, not great for relationships, right?
Oh
The,
no! Especially when how many of them died on him, usually by Sabretooth's
exactly,
hands.
exactly. I'm
That's what I liked about the comic Wolverine Origin. I like that comic. I don't. I know people don't. I have the whole thing, and I liked how it made it very clear how messed up he is.
well, I mean, there's a lot of reasons he's as messed up as he is,
Oh
but
yeah, but the fact that he remembers everything and he's finally piecing it all together.
I prefer the Wolverine stories with like Jubilee or with
Mm-hmm.
like when it's sort of a mentor
A
thing
patch when he's patched.
when you get to see the softer side of him
Yeah,
and
the big brother
so
side. The big brother side. Well,
yeah
no,
and
no. Big
or like
brother was Kitty,
right,
father figure for Jubilee. That's the
right.
same people. When people always say, "Oh, Kitty was like his daughter," no,
Well, I
Kitty was
mean,
like his little sister. Jubilee was like his daughter.
I personally think that that's where The Last of Us stole the whole Joel and Ellie shtick from.
Oh, I so totally saw
Yeah,
Wolverine and
yeah,
Jubilee. And
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's Jubilee and in Wolverine, but I mean, that then when he goes berserker dwarf and everything's all super violent and everything like that, you've got some balance and you see
Mm-hmm.
why he's not Juggernaut, he's not Sabretooth. Like there's actually he's not a bad guy. He's just the
Oh
best at what
yeah.
he does and what he does ain't pretty.
Oh yeah.
Right.
But yeah, Kitty, Jubilee, Laura, Armor. That was one of the few things
Yeah.
I think Joss Whedon got right in Astonishing X-Men was Armor and Wolverine. What do you think
There
about
was
his
a
Astonishing
rumor
X-Men?
there was a rumor that a lot of that was ghost written.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I'd buy it. But I
That
mean,
he
what did you
wrote
think of it?
I just don't like Joss Whedon.
No, I know, but did you read his run though? Is what I'm asking.
Well, I got about 3 books in and went, right. I get 3. I got 3 episodes of the Nevers. I got 3 seasons of Buffy.
Right?
Dollhouse,
Three
no,
issues
I
of
only read.
Astonishing.
Yeah, I am repelled by the man's
I
stuff.
understand. Well, thank God it was only two Marvel movies.
Well, and even
I'm
those.
being cute. I'm being cute about that.
Yeah, Eileen knows my feelings about Whedon's Avengers movies. Um,
Hmm.
it I have had a real problem with his writing. Now, Eileen and I met because I
Hmm.
dropped a spicy take on Marvel Cinematic
You told me.
Universe,
I think
and
you told me this
yeah,
on one of our.
Eileen is a massive
So that's
MCU
who that
fan.
is. So that's who you're
Yeah,
playing
yeah.
to.
This is the legend right here. But I mean,
Nice to meet you, Eileen.
there's an example of people who like disagreed on something, and I think we went back and forth on the philosophical ramifications of hive minds and conscription, and
Hmm.
whether or not the Chitari had moral choice.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but those are the conversations that are good. Those are the
Hmm.
conversations when people do this stuff. I think they hope people have, like when I rant about not bringing in the ship of Theseus metaphor earlier in WandaVision, like
Oh, I agree.
that's actually saying they did something good. They sort of brought it in earlier. But I don't that's not where I'm at with Whedon. His
Right.
stuff makes me first of
Oh,
all
I
the
understand.
fact that he kind of codified a feminized manner of speech and now it's called
Mm.
Whedon speak.
Yeah, the like glowy box. People saying about glowy box.
People said that about Glory Box, and I'm like, what the
The
spiky
simplified,
thing.
the simplified, descriptive naming.
My mother and aunt talked that way my entire life.
Hmm.
Whedon did not invent that, and the fact that he is getting credit for basically sitting around and listening to women talk and copying it,
Hmm.
that's just the beginning. But I mean, even in Buffy, sex turned Angel evil because he was happy.
Mm.
That's sick. And then
Yeah.
who do they put Buffy with next?
Mm.
Spike. What is Spike's defining characteristic? He's a serial murderer whose first victim
Yeah.
was his own fucking mother. I mean, this Whedon is the man who turned Loki from a mama's boy into a misogynist.
And a Nazi.
Well, yes, but how did a character go from having daddy issues to mommy issues and one fall off the Bifrost into darkness? Like that's just
Exactly,
broken.
exactly. And then they went right back into Thor 2 and saying, "Oh no, he still loved his mommy."
But then, of course, he's the one that had the Hulk almost kill Black Widow, and then they had a relationship. Which to me, I'm like, I can be friends with a dude who almost tried to kill me, but I could never get emotionally close, knowing that happened and he had no control.
Oh,
What
and that's why
you
that's
can't
why I
have
love
one
about.
you
Sorry.
can't have one fucking fight with your boyfriend without him trying to smash you.
Oh yeah, that's why I would
Think
say this.
about that.
That's why I can understand the teasing they did in the comics of Spider
Yes.
Woman with Hulk. Because Spider Woman, she's messed up as it is, so I can still see
Yes.
her being with
Yes.
it. And I love it. It's like, don't you get it, Bruce? I like you better when you're angry. I'm like, you're messed up, lady.
That's pretty messed up. But yes, you're right. That character, it makes more sense. But somebody who remotely has shit together,
Yeah.
you can't have emotional depth. You can't have emotional connection
Mm-hmm.
with someone you can't get into a single argument with because he's going to turn green.
Oh,
And
exactly. That's why Betty makes sense because she knows who he was beforehand. Well, most versions do anyway.
at least she has that baseline.
Yeah.
Right? Even then, though, like the idea of getting involved, and again, there are periods of time where, like Banner and the Hulk, they bros, and they kind of have an arrangement, and
Well,
um,
like I know I could see now if it's something like Well, Professor Hulk that we saw
Right,
Ruffalo doing,
right.
that you're like, okay, because yeah, it's Banner in control.
Right, right. That, but then you're always, if you've seen him go full Hulk at least once, it's always in the back of your head, could this happen again? And
Oh yeah, I
these
mean
are
Professor Hulk in the comic proved he can go right back to being rageful.
right. And these are the sorts of things where I just don't think these creators have enough women in the writers' room. Yeah, Betty is the one who can calm them down so they can actually have a
Exactly.
disagreement.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
because Hulk loves Betty just as
right,
much as Bruce does.
right.
Now, whereas Hulk, the fact that he chased Black Widow, the only reason why he be doing it is like, ooh, hottie. It's like not about her personally.
That
It's just because, ooh, pretty redhead. Or
that
here's my
that whole
theory.
sequence,
Here's my
yeah,
theory. I
yeah.
think Hulk on Hulk's end. I think for some reason the way Black Widow acts, I think he thinks it's Betty.
No, see,
Not
Hulk
for
went
Hulk,
after,
not for Hulk, not
but
for Bruce,
it
for
had no,
Hulk.
that scene had nothing to do with Hulk. Hulk could have been a giant robot. Hulk could have been a tentacle monster.
True.
That was again about when she seems out of control, she's secretly in control.
That's true.
No. No, how are you in control when a guy calls you a whiny vagina and you just have to take it? Oh, he revealed something. Oh, fuck
Oh,
that.
okay. I agree with it.
I
I
don't
agree
want
with
to
that.
have to, sit here and have a guy fucking shit talk me just for information. Like that's just Joss Whedon wanting to be able to talk to women like that and blame them.
And unfortunately, it's caused a lot of people to start thinking that's okay.
Well, that was a real concern when a 14-year-old kid in my family came out with that, and it's like, you said what? Of course, he didn't know what it meant.
Right.
He didn't know what it meant. He said it because he heard a character who was cool say it, and I'm like,
Aye.
oh shit, no. We got to have a talk with what that word means and why you do not say that to
Right.
any woman. And this is the other problem with Whedon's villains, right? There
Mm-hmm.
are there are villains that like Winter Soldier. You feel really bad for Bucky.
Oh, definitely. Because he had no choice. He had no
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
And he's so broken because he's been brainwashed. That's why I like Black Widow Bucky in the comics.
Yeah.
They've both been through the same thing.
Yeah, you feel really shitty for Bucky, right? And then Killmonger in
Mm-hmm.
Black Panther. Killmonger is not a evil guy.
No.
Killmonger is an angry guy.
Mm-hmm.
And there are Killmonger still has a code. He still has things he won't do. He won't do anything terrible the situation requires, unlike,
The what if version.
well, no, I actually that episode was dark, but I actually thought that was one of the better dark what ifs.
What do you think about the fact that they're actually all going to accumulate together in this final episode?
It's a what if. What does it matter?
Yeah, that's true. But the fact that it's going to be all of these what ifs together to stop this Ultron that has the Infinity Gems.
I just don't care. The
True.
the whole the whole supposition
I kind
that,
of agree with this one, by the way. I kind of agree.
oh, I yeah, they haven't.
Because they've only dealt with two versions, and two versions of
Okay,
the Hulk, Professor.
Eileen hasn't seen one scene though. She said she
Oh.
hasn't seen something that they're starting to tiptoe in that direction, it
Mm-hmm.
seems. Um but yeah, I just have a real issue with the fact that there was essentially no free will in the Marvel Cinematic Universe before Sylvie stabbed Immortus.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
This whole series about heroes and villains, good guys
Mm-hmm.
and bad guys, right? Because there's a dude. Okay, so Thanos was controlling people with mind stones.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody exposed to the mind stone has only quasi moral culpability, but
Mm-hmm.
anyone, yeah, Eileen, in
Mm-hmm.
Shang-Chi,
I think I know what you're talking about.
it's an end credit sequence
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right. You're right.
where
I'm not
there's a
going to say it.
reference that will make
I'm not going
Eileen
to say it,
happy.
but you're right.
But then, anybody, if anyone in the Marvel Cinematic Universe deviates from their prescribed roles, the
Yeah.
TVA just prunes
Oh yeah.
them.
Oh, and which I gotta say that was interesting of an idea. Now, can I say this? When you have the even the Russo brothers saying they didn't like how they made the stones paperweights and everything, I'm like,
Oh,
well,
I like that.
oh, I liked it. I liked it because it
Yeah.
makes sense given the rules they set up. Why
Well,
would you have these things when they're taken out of their own? It's like these things don't work in their own universe, outside of their own universe. I don't think they work outside of their own time either.
well, yeah, it's quantum, it's relativity, right? And do infinity stones work at infinity? That's the question. The answer is
Mm-hmm.
also, though, do we know those are real? The whole thing is kind of hooped,
That's very
right?
true. How much of it was real? How much of it was a lie?
See, I was really disappointed with the way they went with that show. Because could you imagine being, and maybe there's more time, but like, the minute I'm Loki, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
find out that they are pruning the timeline
Mm-hmm.
so that anyone that deviates gets wiped from existence. He's
Yep.
a very smart, introspective to the point that it kind of drives him crazy guy. He'd be like, wait, it's not enough that I was adopted and didn't know. It's not enough that my father sort of hid my real appearance from everybody because it was somehow shameful. Um, I,
Which we've never seen actually in the MCU, have we?
you're not caught up on What If. You're
Oh
not caught up on What If.
no, I'm not. No, I'm
But
not.
if I'm him, I'm like, wait. I had to do all that shit because of your fucking golden timeline.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped making sense after that fight with my father. You made me do all the fuck you. Like I was waiting for him to have that because that series is a bunch of I am statements, right? You're
Oh
a
yeah, I
narcissist. I'm not
am.
like that anymore. Then I am a narcissist. Fine. But I'm like, I'm waiting for him to go, what the hell am I? Every single thing
Mm-hmm.
I have done has been preordained. But they didn't even.
I just got lucky that some already time traveling Avengers kind of just screwed up.
Well, you know, it, yeah, it just
He just got
they
lucky. Let's be honest. He got lucky.
well, they sort of missed an opportunity with the whole thing to sort of do a treatise on what it means to be a villain in a superhero world
Mm-hmm.
because they're sort of necessary, right? Because heroes are reactive. Villains are the ones that make the choices. It's the whole heroes can save the world, but villains can change it kind of thing.
True, which is
And
why I gotta say, you want to know one line I did love Jeff Johns giving the Rogues that always stuck with me. There's a point where you have Captain Cold actually saving a guy. He said, "I decided to take a moment to do it," and then when it's basically now it was either no, it wasn't Jeff Johns or it could have been Brad Meltzer. It could have been one of the two. But basically, and it's like, how did it feel? Felt the exact same thing, the exact same rush, but you walk away with nothing.
yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah,
love that about villains. Like, it just makes it very clear to someone like Cold, who, remember, is very emotionless for good
yeah,
reason.
yeah,
And he's like he feels like you feel that adrenaline rush. It's the exact same rush,
yeah.
but then you walk away with nothing. It's like, for someone like him, it's like, what's the point if I'm not getting anything else out of it besides good feelings?
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I find the way they're using Solomon Grundy in Stargirl
Mm-hmm.
similarly interesting. And see, Eileen and I are now going back and forth about things being preordained, and I don't think they ever introduced the Norns in the MCU. I could be
No,
wrong,
I
though.
don't
They're,
think so. They did in Ragnarok, and I would have
I mean,
loved for them.
Ragnarok doesn't go down the way
Oh,
like
I know.
it's
I would have loved, though. You know what? I would have loved for them to have had it brought in the those who sit above all.
yeah,
That was
oh
that,
the Beyonders. Yeah,
well,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
no, it wasn't the Beyonders. This is from the disassembled arc of Thor, where he finally makes it to Ragnarok.
Yeah,
He was a
weren't those? Oh no, that was just a rumor that
yeah.
those who sit above. Yeah, yeah, yeah. See, that's where I I sort of lose track with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I admit, so I kind of look at the way the characters are portrayed and whether they're consistent or at least evolving in a way I can follow. Because I do find, I mean, one of the things Whedon messed up is he didn't
Mm-hmm.
properly introduce the Infinity Stones.
Oh, good God!
Um,
No, he did not. It took him
and
like having to
so
crush the cube and all that.
yeah, I mean, he didn't, because he threw this big fit of this is my movie, and he didn't properly introduce the Infinity Stones, and so everybody, hi Nerdette, um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think this is part of what a lot of people are struggling with the MCU is certain things they are so loyal to the comics, and then other things they just
Oh, the fact there's no death for Thanos. Oh no, I can accept that, but I can't
you
accept
know I
no Adam
can't.
Strange.
You know
No, no, no. I
I
would say
like
no.
Lady Death. Yeah.
Oh, I know, I did too, and it was a good, better
Yeah.
explanation. But I can see why they want to go the whole. Oh, he just did it to impress a girl. I get that, but my draw the line is no Adam Strange because James Gunn didn't get to him yet.
Yeah. See, Eileen, Thor did have a line, I think it was in Ragnarok, where he basically went, screw the throne, screw all of it. I think he was talking to Valkyrie,
I
but
think so.
the fact that Thor is farting around with the Guardians instead of being back with his people in exile indicates
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't actually believe in destiny. He doesn't even believe in birthright.
Mm. Yeah. Now,
So
of course, one could read there's other reason behind that writing that's woke and all that, but I don't think so. Not with
well,
the Russos.
also Loki not facing his death when he finds out how it ends. The fact that he's
Mm-hmm.
like, no, screw it, I'm a survivor. Survivors do not believe in destiny.
Right. Well,
They're
the whole point
completely
of having
against
all
it.
those other Lokis,
That was my favorite part of the whole thing.
especially Old Man Loki.
Richard Grant,
Yep.
classic Loki, as they call it. That was
Classic. Yep. I love that, especially the fact that he hid. Like he like I'm a master of deception. You really think that was really me?
that the fact that he wore that suit so badly, so well.
You're the
I
same guy
just
who. Oh,
adored.
before remind me, are you in the Doctor Who at all? I forget.
um. Yes.
Okay. What do you think about Russell T Davies coming back?
Cautiously optimistic.
But given how
Um.
he's making it clear he's liking what Chibnall's doing.
I don't mind that. I'm curious what he'd do with it because it's a breaking of the formula.
Oh, beyond a breaking. And I'm sorry, the timeless child. That makes no sense.
Okay, that every time they throw in something like that in Doctor Who, the
I mean,
plot holes. There
I
was a
could.
Doctor Who 50th anniversary convention in Toronto, and we actually
Mm-hmm,
did a plot hole coin toss,
mm-hmm.
and that was pre 13.
Right. Obviously.
You sort of have to accept the plot holes
Oh yeah, yeah,
in Doctor Who.
but I was it. I think the Cardinal Master Plan had a much better explanation than this timeless child. Having it be that the Doctor was actually one of the original creators of the Time Lords,
Yes.
who then made himself reborn as a normal Time Lord by jumping
Yes.
into their little whatever was made him human, and that of course Susan wasn't really his granddaughter. That
Right.
explains a lot, and all that. That was way better than this time of child stuff, which makes way more makes the Time Lords even bigger assholes than ever. And just
I checked out when the TARDIS was a woman. That's what I.
Oh, really?
Out. That I'm like.
To be fair, I always did tend to call it more. Well, one, why do you keep calling her sexy?
Yeah, and he's traveling around inside her.
True, but I will just say this: I did love the whole. You never took me into me where I want to go. No, but I always took you where you needed to go.
Yeah.
Of course, then later episodes totally blow that away.
I started watching Doctor Who with Tom Baker. Okay.
Oh no,
Doctor Who was a very different show.
Mm-hmm. I'm well aware.
Then.
I've seen those. I've seen a lot of Tom Baker.
We didn't need
favorite scene. sorry, I was say favorite scene.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Sarah Jane, you stupid girl, you stupid girl. What? Hey, it climbs right out. Okay, here
And
we go.
and that's what Doctor Who was back then. It was moments, right? And it was a fun story that
Mm-hmm.
allowed for some really great acting that didn't take itself too seriously. And television was not obsessed with this like nuts and bolts continuity that we get so tangled up in now. And I get that some people love it.
Right.
I'm just not one of those people. I prefer shows where the characters are consistent and I don't mind a couple of hiccups in terms
Okay.
of,
Yeah.
because let's face it, they shows end up retconning sometimes just because something's not working.
Oh, and I completely look. I
Yeah.
understand that, and I can
Yeah.
accept that. There's a lot of stuff that I don't mind that the Doctor expand on, retcon, whatnot. But
Well,
this just felt too
as I
huge.
as Eileen said, the minute you start doing time travel, that is fraught with peril.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
You have to start making some binary choices about how time travel works. And a lot of creative teams don't like making binary choices about how
Oh
time travel
yeah.
works.
Like, does it change history? Does it create another Earth? Does it do what? I
Yeah.
mean, I have my own explanation. If you travel through time and space, you make a new Earth. If you travel just through
Yes.
time, then you change history.
Yeah. But it's also is a different history or different future of a person the same person? I
Oh,
argue
geez, that's
no.
what I loved about the Back to the Future comics. They actually had Bob Gale tease it. They didn't give an
Right.
explanation because even he knew you can't do that. So they had to be Marty basically accept the fact that history, he's different. Things went different in this world.
Right.
And if the other Marty shows up, he'll do that when it gets that when if it comes that if it does. But he's not going to dwell on it either.
But people are shaped by their experiences, so after a
Mm-hmm.
certain point, it's the whole ship of Theseus thing that they butchered in WandaVision, that after a while, you start with a ship and you gradually replace part after part after part. At what point is that ship still the ship of Theseus? Is
That's
it,
very true.
connected to the owner as long as it's his ship? Is it, or does the ship have some inherent inherent value, and when you replace every single part,
I
it's
look
no
at it more like
longer
this.
the
It's
thing
more.
anymore?
I look at this that argument. I always looked at it like this. It's talking. One is how you logically look at it. The other one is how
Right.
you emotionally look at it.
And I think that's what they were going for with WandaVision, because it was tied into Vision,
Logic and emotion. Yeah.
but then his feelings for Wanda, which again got off to a really rough start in the movies. And I think it's just those two being so good on screen together that
Hmm.
sort of sold it, because I couldn't stand
And
that relationship
doing the
either.
different sitcom spoofs.
I thought that went on a little bit long,
Yeah, but I'll say
though.
this. My favorite bit was when she was pregnant and they did all the different hide your pregnancy type of jokes.
Yes, yes, that
That cracked me up because I'm like, I see what they're doing. What's next? They're going, yep.
but again, then the series immediately descends into Wanda being a really horrible parent
But I know,
after
yeah,
that.
yep.
And
And
it's
then
like,
and you knew though where it was going the moment you realized it was pretty much House of M.
well, what's the acronym beginning with an S in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? It's basically Child and Family Services, because
Mm,
yikes, she had kids because she was sad,
hmm.
and then
Thank God they made it clear those were made by the magic and not someone else's kid that she plucked away.
but then she kept rebooting them and aging them up every time she couldn't handle something. Those
Yeah,
kids weren't people to her, and then she mind controlled her own
maybe.
partner.
Yep.
And
Oh yeah.
like there's so much horrible going on with Wanda Maximoff
It's
that I
one
was
oh jeez. It's
so
it's
team
one of those
Agatha
hard
by the
things.
end.
It's one of those hard things that they're trying to find that right balance. And actually, I don't say you can, but no, that's one of those things you can't find a balance. But at the same time, no, it's already been established in the comics, so you feel like you gotta do it.
What would have made WandaVision more satisfying for me is after that really sweet, saccharine, like, 'cause let's face it, it's the history of kind of female sitcom leads
Mm-hmm.
up until that point, right? But then what I would have done is, unlike these sitcoms, this is not a problem that's going to be solved in a half hour.
Oh
And
yeah.
instead of the big frozen with magic, not in ice
Mm-hmm.
ending, where I was actually singing Let It Go on my couch while
Yeah, I
Agatha
think you
and
told me
Wanda were
that.
yeah, but actually have some moral culpability. Actually have it be, no, Wanda, you did bad. Agatha might have killed your dog, but it wasn't a real dog. Look at what you fucking did.
Yeah.
Actually do.
I mean, the worst Agatha did was take control of her husband.
Yeah, and even
If nothing else, she
then,
woke people up to what was going on just to cause Wanda to freak out.
yeah, but again, Agatha's whole driving principle is she takes power from people who can't handle it.
Which is, how is that a bad thing?
Well, in the case of her mind controlling and torturing 3,000 people in a town in New Jersey, that,
Yeah.
like, I'm sitting her going, I can't see a problem with this woman's logic. I mean, there's another example of a really clunker line
Mm-hmm.
where after the episode, where Agatha literally drags her by the hair, showing Wanda who she is. Wanda goes, "You don't have to tell me who I am." I'm like, honey, we watched the last episode.
Yeah.
It I'm not sure. I think maybe part of it, and I'm trying to be kind, because I mean, Falcon and the Winter Soldier had to write out a whole virus spreading
Oh
plot
yeah.
line. And so, but there's a shining example where the characterizations in that show were so solid that the goofy kind of plot points that make no sense
And the funny
didn't
thing is, though,
bother
Dad,
me the same
and
way.
everyone keeps saying about why can't things be more one-to-one adaptations. The stuff they adapted in that were pretty close to one-to-one as much as you can get. The stuff going on with the Campton and everything.
I like that they used sort of a lesser known with US Agent.
Yeah, with you.
I
Well,
thought that
they're
the
basically adapting one of the pinnacle
right
Captain America
down
stories.
right down to that shield smash
Yeah,
with the blood. I remember that panel and I'm like,
yeah.
they nailed
And
that.
while
It
they didn't
didn't
now, and while they didn't have it be his family got slaughtered, they went the next best thing. That would be a close friend got killed,
it,
and then he went
yeah,
into a roid rage.
right, but what the recreating that, I was,
Gruenwald is smiling. It's what I say. Gruenwald
yes.
was smiling.
Yeah, but I mean, that was well done. The issue with some of these other shows is they're trying to instead of going, we're going to do US Agent and we're going to
Mm-hmm.
change some stuff, but we're going to take those moments. They're trying to combine too much stuff together, and they're
Oh yeah, I
getting
mean,
unintended results.
WandaVision was Wanda and Scarlet Witch and Vision. House
But
of M.
but yeah, they tried to combine House of M with like some
What? Yeah,
60s and
Scarlet Witch.
seventies
It was the
plot.
Scarlet Witch and Vision miniseries or
Right.
maxi series.
Well, I mean, they were going back to like 69 with
Yeah, the
some of the
Englehart run.
stuff.
The Englehart
Yeah.
run.
Yeah, and
Oh,
House of M,
and Burns run. And Burns run that totally undid it all. So they combined three different, completely different stories into
yeah,
one.
and they didn't play well with each other,
Nope.
you know.
Especially when you're taking the Burns stuff, who had contempt for what Englehart did, and everything he did with it a big screw you to Englehart.
Yeah. Yeah, it just, I
And yet, why
mean,
do people praise that stuff when it was like, oh yeah, we want. I mean, the fact that's what pissed me off when people were saying, why wasn't Mephisto around to deal with the kids? I hated that.
well, we don't, there are some Mephisto Easter eggs in
Oh yeah,
places, and
especially in Loki. In Loki, definitely.
we don't know whether that's being saved for, I mean, let's face it, everything is building to please go see Doctor Strange 2. We know the
Oh,
first movie wasn't very
Even what
good,
if it's leading right into it.
which you saw that Doctor Strange What If, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, that one drove me crazy because they violate their own premise that certain things are just absolute events you cannot change.
Mm-hmm.
Except the thing he couldn't change was the thing that was changed.
Yep.
What? Like, no, she didn't
Mm,
die. He lost the use of his hands. So why are you trying to convince me that you have to fridge the girlfriend when that wasn't what happened in the first place? Because
exactly.
there's no other way for him to go on his journey. Also,
Besides, how close were they in the original story in the movie?
well, in the movie they weren't. He was a dickhead.
Exactly.
Yeah, it
So it's
was
like,
a
so in other words, you're not just saying that one thing changed. No, you're saying a lot of stuff changed.
well, it yeah, I couldn't suspend disbelief, but it's that thing again when you
Now,
stick a pin in something
I
for
can't
me, you
from the
better
trailer.
not expect me to pull that pin.
Now, for the trailer for 9, I can't wait to see how the two strangers react to each other. At least that I am looking forward to.
Yeah, I have sort of I like the silly ones.
Mm-hmm.
The
The zombie
minute
one.
oh, I didn't like that one at all.
Oh, okay.
I was just like
Well, I
I
didn't like the
was
explanation behind the virus. I
I,
hated
I
that.
I didn't like the explanation, but I always were like, okay, this is gonna happen now, and this is
Mm-hmm.
gonna happen now, and this is gonna happen now, and well, that sacrifice was for nothing, and this
Well,
is gonna
yeah.
happen now. I mean, somebody really hates Hank Pym on that What If staff because they keep
Yeah.
making him like a complete asshole.
Mm,
But uh, I like the ones that are goofing on things
mm-hmm.
that are having fun with it. I understand that they have to
Like the
do.
T'Challa as Star Lord.
I thought that episode was hilarious.
Oh, it was, and you could also tell that um, um, Chadwick Boseman, God bless him, he was having a blast.
Yeah, I mean, even one of the things later on that maybe you haven't seen, he was having a lot of fun with it. I mean, I thought the first episode that some people got cranky about, I liked it because it showed that no matter what happened, Steve Rogers would find some way to be a
Oh
hero.
yeah, exactly, and that's what they have always shown. I always remember there was that speeding, bullet points comic. It wasn't a
Yeah,
what if per se, but you have it be where Uncle Ben was actually there when
right.
giving the, and basically he and the scientist both got shot by the same bullet, and then Uncle Ben's dead, so Peter's
Yeah,
growing up without his uncle, and Steve, instead of becoming Captain America, he becomes Iron Man because that was
yeah,
their backup. Because that was their backup was an Iron
right.
Man armor.
Right. And I mean, to me, they started off with this great, like, with T'Challa and with Steve Rogers. It's like heroes become heroes no
Oh,
matter what's thrown at them.
and
They
I love
find a
Captain, and
way.
I love Carter. Her being all like Peggy being all like, especially when she's using that shield, the fun she's having. She's like, "Where have you been all my
Yeah.
life?"
I thought that was a good episode, but then they do that Doctor Strange episode. And I mean, I'm probably too big a Doctor Strange fan because I became obsessed with Steve Ditko's art
Mm-hmm.
on the early books. I mean, that was a revolution in
Oh
comics,
yeah.
the way he did a page. But the Doctor Strange story is always he really cosmically fucks everything up and then he finds a way out. And they didn't they violated Doctor Strange's core characteristic in a way they
Mm-hmm.
didn't with T'Challa, the way they didn't with Steve Rogers. And it all seems to me just to be a big setup for Spider-Man that something Doctor Strange does is going to be like the one more day thing and we get the multiverse.
Right.
And I'm like one more day is a really fucking depressing storyline. So I
Yeah,
don't
but they basically railroad themselves into that with the last movie.
Oh, I'm looking forward to just the visual
Oh,
spectacle
what? Oh,
of
what about you've had to have seen the Venom post-credit sequence?
what the
The
from the
recent Venom.
Venom movie.
Yeah, the recent one. It's been all over the
Is
place.
that out already?
Yes, it is. It's
Oh
out,
my
and
god,
that
I'm
and
so
that's
behind. I have not seen it. No.
oh, so you might.
Yeah.
Oh, everyone's talking about the post-credit sequence. You
I
mind if I
think
tell
I
you?
might have had it spoiled. It's ringing a bell
Basically,
now.
they're now in the MCU.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
And
and
why
Venom's like,
not?
oh, I know, but the way it happens, this is tying into the third movie.
Well, sure. They want to make a lot of money on Spider-Man and then they want to make a lot of money on Doctor Strange too.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean that Venom film was pushed like 4 times.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I
It
think because though that given that post-credit sequence, they knew they had to air it before that movie.
Yes. Oh, yeah. They and I think that was part of the issue. In fairness, I've been rough, really rough on the Disney Plus series, but I think part of the issue with them was they were bumping up against that film release schedule.
Mm-hmm.
That I mean, Black Widow got pushed, and I think that was supposed to be
That
Julia
tying
Louis
into when.
Dreyfus's. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And so, but I'll be honest though, I think that was one of the ones that was for the better because I think ending it without knowing the context of who she is would have left people even more confused and be like, "That was a stupid ending."
yeah,
But
it would.
knowing who she,
Yeah, but I mean, these shows they can't delay them the way they can films because they're the puzzle pieces from film to film, right? It's kind of messed up. But
mm-hmm,
we've been going for like two hours plus, and
mm-hmm.
you baited me with something before
Oh,
we
what was
came
that?
on
Which
air.
one?
I need to hear you defend Chris Pratt as the
Oh,
voice of Mario.
okay.
That's a bold take. I need to hear this.
Okay. Well, my simple thing is, I seem to go in with the Brooklyn accents because I know Chris Pratt can probably not do an Italian accent that convincingly.
But that
No, no,
was
no.
the
But
bad movie.
no, no, no. He was. It wasn't just that. Remember, he also had the old Super Mario Brothers Super Show, and technically, he's always been from Brooklyn, not Italy or anything like that.
But Charles Martinet
No,
is
oh,
in
I
the
know.
movie.
Oh, I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying,
See,
though, I think there. Now, it also depends. You know what else is also going to depend on it? Are they going with New Donk City or not?
see, that's a totally different thing, right? I mean, to me, if I were to do a Mario movie like this and try to make it hip with the kids' modern audiences, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would make Mario the Matt Damon in Team America World Police. Like he
Oh
sounds like
yeah.
Mario, and everybody else like the guy from Key and Peele as Toad. I'm down for it. What's her name from the Queen's Gambit as Peach? Not that much of a stretch. I pity her
Oh yeah.
doing that voice. It's hard,
Well,
but the
depends. Well,
problem
again, depends though. Are they going to go with Mario 64 Peach or current Peach? Because Mario 64 Peach actually sounded like a princess, a
I
proper princess, not
I I suspect they are going to de-squeak Peach, but it's not. They're. This
At
is
least
the
they're going with Peach and not Daisy, like the movie,
sure.
the other movie.
Why? Yeah, but Daisy should be in for Luigi. But like, there's a. It's the ship of Theseus thing again. You replace too many pieces, and eventually, it's no longer Mario. And what's the first thing people do when they hear Super Mario? Ah, it's me, right?
It's me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and Anya
true,
Taylor
and
Joy. That's
that
it.
is true. That is
Yeah,
again.
and Chris Pratt. I mean, the meme I said, the first thing I thought
Oh, I
of
saw that.
was
I saw
the
that.
fucking Jurassic Park with the
And
Yoshis. Like,
they made him Yoshi, and they put the head on him.
and like, do people just not think that's where everybody goes? And why?
Oh, and I'll say this: Seth Rogen's Donkey Kong. Has anyone seen that Donkey Kong Country cartoon?
I mean,
Not,
Seth Rogen is Donkey Kong, whatever. There's probably going to be weird
Jack
jokes in it.
Black as Bowser. That's right up there with Jim Carrey as Eggman.
I think Jack Black can do it. Like I said, all the rest of the casting, I don't have the same
Even
issues.
Charles as Luigi or
At least he's got an Italian parent.
True.
Like, at least
But
there's some
but again, no.
Italy in
Again,
there.
that is my bully though. That's my defense. I think they're going with the Brooklyn voice, not the Italian voices, and I think that's why because I do not think Charles could do a Brooklyn voice.
Oh, he could do it. He's a very good.
Possibly
But
true.
people don't wanna. Hey, I'm here to fix your toilet. Like that's not what they want. They say, ah, it's me. I jump on the mushrooms. The Koopa, the Goomba. That's what
Okay,
people
I get
want.
that. No, and I get that.
Yeah.
I'm willing to wait and see though until we actually hear what his take on is going to
Okay,
be.
you're right. We don't want to Heath Ledger this.
Oh yeah,
However,
because what happened there?
whenever that which Chris goes meme goes on Twitter, whether it's Hemsworth, Pine, Pratt, or crap Captain America, um, Evans, it's
Mm-hmm.
always Pratt. It's always we dump Pratt. That guy is
What?
polarizing. Like just
Now, but that's the other thing. Do you think now? I do have some hope because like some of the directors did some good stuff. Like some of the directors did stuff like the Teen Titans Go movie, the movie, among other things. It's the writer I'm worried on because you know why? He did story stuff for some of the
Yeah.
like the Lego Movie Part 2, but you know what one of his actual screen creds is? One of the Big Mama movies.
You
What?
know what? You know what my issue is it's Illumination.
Oh
And I'm again I'm going to commit a heresy cuz I love me minions. I got one back there, but
yeah. Fuck him.
those other than like the first Despicable Me was really good, but the subsequent ones in the Minions movies they've been just okay. And the scripts aren't there. They are very
Oh, that's the other scene script that
formulaic.
guy worked on. He's worked on the upcoming Minions movie.
But the Minions movie was not great. It
Oh
was
no! Oh no!
cute, but
No! No!
it wasn't actually good.
It was good for that first little bit. You could have had that opening bit that was the important stuff that people want to know about as a short, and that's it. You
Yeah.
didn't need the rest of the movie.
Even the second Lego movie was just
It was one of those movies.
okay.
It wasn't as bad as Ralph Breaks the Internet, but it was right
I
up
didn't
there.
see that.
I'm just saying, it was right up there with
Yeah.
totally disregarding the message of the prior movie.
Yeah, I thought
But
they
not
were-
as bad
yeah.
as Ralph. Ralph was beyond like, you set up a great message and you say, fuck it, because girl power.
Yeah, they just seemed to me to be animation Mad Libs designed to make a bunch of money, sell more toys, and have be something that parents can plunk their kids down in front of.
Oh, you
on
mean
a
like Space
streaming
Jam: A New
service.
Legacy?
Oh, well, that bombed. But just yeah, I just think this Mario movie, and they say, oh, you know, Shigeru Miyamoto is given his blessing and all that stuff. Again, heresy.
Of course he
But
would.
what's the last really good thing he made?
Well, you know what I'll always give him props for, at least, before I answer that question?
See, you dodged the
No,
question.
no. Because I saw it popped in my head and want to say before I forget.
Yeah.
You do know that Metroid Prime became as good as it was because of his guidance, right?
Yes, but there's guidance, and then what was the last good thing he made? It
I'm
wasn't
looking-
Wii Music.
I'm looking for which one he was as an actual designer, and oh no, he worked. That was still a collaborator. Looks like Pikmin was the last one where he had any direct.
Yep. And that was what year?
2001, because he
Yeah.
did. Because you had him either with someone else, like Twilight Princess or Super
Yeah.
Mario Galaxy.
Those were different. Yeah, those were different designers. But if George Lucas came out
Oh,
today
well,
and put his
technically,
stamp of approval on a Star Wars thing,
Technically, Mario Run was him.
oh,
And-
that
and
was
Steel
so
Driver.
watered down. I mean, he was behind that whole being able to skip through hard parts of a game thing. Like, he
True.
was in on
And
that.
you know what I won't forgive him for is Star Fox Zero being a reboot and just another retread of the first Star Fox game.
That controlled terribly. Yeah, you couldn't do a barrel roll in that game. It was too hard to
Do
control.
a barrel roll!
Yeah, but yeah, like that's
And then also the
thing.
stuff behind what he did with Star Fox 2's team, just so he can make Star Fox 64 better.
And that, you know, this doesn't mean he isn't fundamental to gaming and made some great, I mean,
Oh,
Super
yeah.
Mario, Legend of Zelda, he's really good at creating worlds. It's just when someone has
But he's never been about story. That's the big thing. He's never been about story. He's always been one
That's
like,
right.
who cares about story? That's why he wanted to reboot Star Fox. He's like, who cares about story?
And
I don't
he's
care about it.
Probably not terribly attached because, I mean, the first few Mario games weren't voiced. He's probably not terribly attached to the way these characters sound, the same way the fans of this thing that have kept it going through a lot of nostalgia are. And Mario is a nostalgia property. You cannot update that thing for a modern audience, and you don't need to. You got a woman in charge, you got gender bending mushroom people. Like, that's a Grant Morrison comic, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
That just came to me as I'm like, oh,
You're right. Oh my God, you're right.
You know, you got all this random.
He always needs to be on
Oh,
something, doesn't he?
You got flying turtles. I mean, that's Grant Morrison right there. You don't need to update it. You got Rosalina selling her star children into slavery. Like, that's some hardcore stuff. But, you know, the idea that you need to modern audience things. Have you seen that Saints Row trailer?
Oh, don't get me started on
Like,
that.
that's modern audience,
And the fact
right?
that you're in
Hey,
both sides are not happy about it. You have,
let's make a Saints Row
you
game
know,
for the
you know what,
Life
you
is
know what lost me?
Strange crowd.
You want to know what lost me was the moment they said, "Oh, these are a bunch of millennials who are behind on built up school debt, and they turn to crime." It's like, really? I think that's too much work for these millennials to be able to try and pay back their student debt. They'd be wanting the money handed to them
You
or
know
just
what?
ignored.
You know what lost me?
What?
No characters with boobs.
That's very true.
Saints Row is a franchise where the thing that I found,
Also, how is the Saints Row without Johnny Gat?
like, there are boobs on the men in Saints Row, okay? The Saints Row 2, I fell in love with because it was the first time I could make a deliberately butt ugly playable character.
Oh, good God,
You
yes.
know, I made a character that looked like Doink the Clown after a donut bender. And I was just
I
like,
love also you have a female body with a dude's voice and
and you can actually go to a plastic surgeon and change your gender mid game.
exactly, and nothing is ever brought up.
Yeah, and dudes can wear skirts. Like, they are not gender
Dudes
locked to
can
the
want to pole
voices.
dance.
But and then if you play as a female leader of the Saints, there's still female strippers in the White House. It's like the characters were hardwired, but
Oh, you
it
could, or you
wasn't
could,
connected to
oh,
gender.
and four, all those different romance sequences for just
Oh,
obviously making jokes.
okay, and it doesn't get enough credit for making the most dangerous men in the universe a bisexual Asian dude. I mean, pansexual for all we know. Like, Johnny Gat was a stereotype buster.
Yeah, then they reveal,
And
oh, they had to off him and all that stuff because he was so dangerous. And then he
right,
takes out hell. He
that's right.
takes out Satan. He's like, I'm just gonna go right up there and put a bullet right in his head.
But this is
Can
another
you stop anything
example.
else? Nope, that's it.
This is another example of, if you pitch this could be a Grant Morrison comic, right?
Yep.
With like the time
Now
travel
I
or the
get what they're going
simulation.
for. They want to backpedal from going as far as going to hell. I get that, but
No,
it's
no, they
like
don't want the Genki Bull. They don't want the dildo bats. They don't want the dangerous furries, which is Saints Row.
I
Like,
know because they want to go back. Now I'll say this, if it's going to be like a mixture of 2 and 3, I could accept that. If it's a mixture of 2 and 3, which is what they claim,
maybe
which is what they're claiming, and if that's the case, I will wait and see.
uh,
But I am not having any high hopes
their
at all.
maps look stolen from Grand Theft Auto. Their character designs look stolen from
Totally
Watch
different.
Dogs
Totally
Legion.
different.
Not a
They
good
better give cameos
combination.
to the old crew. They better give cameos to the old crew because it feels like this is Saints Row name only because you have no one else. I know it's supposed to be a reboot, but you need maybe not Johnny because Johnny's happy up, after what happened in Get Out of Hell.
But
Okay,
could you imagine,
but
like, Johnny Gat as a spoof on the old Sensei type
oh yeah,
character?
oh
Like, he's the new
yes.
Professor Genki, it turns
Or,
out.
or what was Shandi? What was Shandi?
See, Shondi had such a great arc in those
Oh, and
games.
four, and four especially,
Talk about a character that came along. Well, when you bring back your old self, and that, like, I love that
Same act was the same with the original actress.
son Shondi, right? And
Yep.
new,
Old
like,
Shandi, no, old Shandi,
well,
fun Shandi,
Shondi
fun
was
Shandi.
the fun, and new Shondi's like, I can't stand you. That's
But
character growth.
to be fair though, they were kind of back and railroaded in that because people hated how Shandi's change was so out of nowhere.
But it wasn't out
In
of
three,
nowhere.
in 3, you had her in 2, then 3, no explanation. She's just completely different character in their eyes. So that's why 4 is. I'm saying that's what people argue. That's what people argue.
I know that's what people argue, but that never bothered me because they're Hollywood now, right?
Oh yeah,
So
and
of
I
course
completely agree.
She's gonna change, right?
And besides, she's still doing a show where she's dating guys, so she hasn't changed that much.
But think, like, okay, that's people not knowing what it's like to be a woman in the media, because yeah, you have to grow up pretty fast, or you end up as Lindsay Lohan, and that's the way Shondi would have went if she hadn't have grown up. But I mean, when people think of Saints Row, they think of tentacle dildo bats and murderous furries
and pimped with those the little yeah.
and alien dance offs. And yes, okay, it did not start that way, but that
Yeah.
is what
Oh, I
people
love
now.
Zinyak. Zinyak is one of my favorite video game villains.
Yeah,
This pompousness and funny thing is,
great
it had,
design.
oh, great design, but the voice from
Yeah,
JB Blanc
yeah.
was especially because he's like my villain Visceral. I've shown you
But
about him.
but
It's pretty much like no,
the other thing about Saints Row is they never brought in current celebrities. It was
no, it was always
always
old celebrities like
well, it was well, except
Burt
for Burt
Reynolds.
Reynolds. Burt Reynolds was huge, but I mean, Roddy Piper, and then Keith
Well,
David.
you had Keith. The fact that you used both Keith David as a character and as himself, because they already
Right.
had him. They already had him from 1 and 2 anyway. So
But when I first played Saints Row 2, I didn't know who the fuck Keith David was. I knew who
yeah.
Burt Reynolds and
Oh, and
Roddy
that's why I loved.
Piper
And that's why I
were.
loved also about 4. They make fun about how saying like, when they went back in time to get King, it's like, oh, I was too shy. I didn't talk much.
Yeah.
Wow, wish we. Wow, where was that? What was
Yeah.
that? Nothing.
But I mean, they
I love
also
those games.
had it was stereotype busting. So they had like the nerd chick on the computer have a very active sex life,
Oh, beyond active. It's like kinky up the ass.
which is actually more true to life than what people think with people.
Oh yeah, Kinsey. I love
Kinsey was a really good
That's why.
character.
That's why I love how Kinsey was the other playable character in Get Out of Hell.
Get Out of Hell, yeah. But I mean, they crafted those characters, and why are they going back to Saints Row 1 with their concept? That's not what people want. And
right.
I don't understand why, again, modern audiences, they don't actually understand what modern 20 somethings are consuming, because
Right.
hate to break it to you, it's a lot of Pornhub and fan fiction sites.
Yeah, exactly. They want this kink. They want this type of,
Well, they want the out there mpreg messed up furry.
Oh yeah, I mean, how many of those? With the
Vor
Sonic
porn.
fan characters, with the
Yeah.
Sonic fan characters, like
Yeah. Okay, let's not go Sonic fan characters.
I'm just bringing it up. Is how many of those have like Prego, whatever?
Okay, we need a timeline. We need to go back in time now. I am calling time travel. We are not going into Sonic fan characters.
Okay, never happened. But yeah, seriously, I love the Saints Row games. That is one of my. And I'll be honest though, much like how I always play as FemShep because of Jennifer Hale's voice, I always, at least for 3 and 4, go as Laura Bailey's voice as female, boss.
I don't remember which female boss.
Oh, she's the normal voice. She's the normal female voice.
I tended to tweak it though. I tended to change it. I don't remember. It was like
she was always boss 1. She was always boss 1.
Yeah, I never liked the default setting, so I always change it. But
yeah,
I mean,
but I liked. But Laura and Bailey, I think, was like she nailed it as being both this kind of tough, nearly butch if you want her to be voice, but at the same time, it's all like, hey guys, come on.
There's an example of a voice actress who's got more range than she's allowed to play now.
Oh,
Yeah,
I agree. I mean, come on, one of her earliest roles was Kid Trunks.
Yeah, and she's either really badly miscast as, a black woman in Uncharted. I don't know which game that was, Nadine. That should not have been voiced by a white woman. But then Naughty Dog puts her back in another person's body again. And it's like, I get that you like working with certain people, but you don't do an actor any favors by continually miscasting them.
Oh yeah, but then you have like stuff like Rain or Catwoman and Batman Telltale, Supergirl and Injustice.
She was good in that. Yeah, she was good in that. She was. It was
Mary Jane and Insomniac Spider-Man.
Right, she was really good in that part, right? But people don't know her for that. They know her as fucking Abby, and I hate that because it's not her fault, right?
It's not her fault at all. She was doing what
She did what she was told. They don't see, a lot of the times they don't see the characters. They race swapped Nadine Ross in Uncharted after she'd recorded the voice, and that I would be furious. I guess people need the work, so they can't turn down the work. But I'm
just looking right at her filmography right now, and good lord, the stuff she's been in,
She's done a
right?
lot of stuff, but I would
Uh,
not, and because she's so in demand, I would not go back and work for a company who, after I recorded a voice, they went, "Hey, we're going to make a character black." I
oh
would not
yeah,
be okay with that.
I agree. I agree.
And that's what I don't understand is why Naughty Dog got this reputation for being some sort of woke company. When it comes to issues of, issues of race sounds so, I'm going to put on my academia voice, issues of race, right? Um, when it comes to depictions of non-white characters, they haven't always done a great job,
no, they
right? And
haven't.
I don't understand why. Well, they've become woke for the CW crowd, right?
Right.
Which is stuff for white girls, and you put some black people in it because, hey, we're not racist if we like
The
this.
actual definition of tokenism, not this rework stuff that some people on the anti-SJW believe in.
Yeah, that was a
Don't
weird
get me
one.
started. Do not get me started on that, where they start to say, especially after one particular YouTuber starts saying, "Oh, the definition of tokenism is changing a race and gender of or alongside its character." Like that's race and gender bending. You are now so broadening tokenism just to suit it, and then he's not consistent with it. He's basically saying that when you can call him out saying, "Well, what about this? Oh, that doesn't count." It's like that's not a definition of a word if you pick and choose when it applies.
Just sit, just sit somebody down and watch South Park, because I admit, when
Oh,
they
token.
token black, they're the only black family in South
I
Park.
love that. I love
That's
that.
why it's funny.
And I love playing. I love that in the games, the recent games, Stick of Truth, everything. If you make yourself black, it's hard mode.
That was very fun. Those games did a really, really, see, there's a shining example of, they put a lot of, geez, I was a transgender pansexual Jewish Native American in that game. I just picked every,
And that's what I
like,
love about the second one. They actually make the gender a bigger portion of the story than the first one. And then they actually make the joke of saying, like, "Oh, wait, you were a girl and you were a girl the whole time?
yeah.
Really? Just a second. Yep, the whole time?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, no, they did a good job with those games. They can get away with it because it's a South Park brand, but
yeah.
that, I would argue that you can get away with it if it's the Saints Row brand.
Yeah,
And,
you could have, but then change, but you can't get away with backpedaling.
well, if they're claiming it's between 2
Oh,
and
they better have the
3,
septic tanks. They better have the septic tanks missions, because if they don't, then that's a line too far. That tells you they're trying to go back to
well,
one.
well, yeah, but the other silly thing about it is 3 is the one that everybody sort of went, okay, this isn't a Grand Theft Auto knockoff anymore, right?
Yep, and in four is where people just loved it because it was like a superhero simulator.
You know what was great about 4 from a totally technical perspective? And I gotta go soon, but this, I
All right.
mean, let's get a little technical instead of our typical who would win in a fight, Thor Hulk,
Yeah.
which is cool with that. We're a bunch of nerds, but um Saints Row 4 solved the navigation in open world games
Right.
problem. You could get places very, very quickly, and it was fun.
And if they need you in a car, they would railroad you into a car with an
That's right.
in-universe reason.
That's right. But one of the things that doesn't hold me about Rockstar games is it takes too long to get anywhere. And I know some people really love the cruising. They love the car stuff, but that map in Grand Theft Auto 5 was so big, and I was like,
Oh, that's
fuck,
what I love
it's
about the
taking
Arkham.
forever.
That's what I love about the Arkham games as well. There's, you know what I always do when I start a Batman Arkham game, the open world ones? I immediately just start going around gathering what I can with what I
Yeah.
have first,
Yeah.
and making sure I unlock the quick travels if they
Yeah.
have it. Like, I'm just restarting Origin now. Oh, yeah, I'm not going to do any of the missions yet. I'm going to start unlocking as many of those Riddler stations and get
Oh,
as
the Riddler stations are so compelling. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, just get everything I can. Have the X-ray vision on so I can find any of the Riddler's goons and be like, okay, where is it? Okay. And I always love it. It's like, it's the rule of 3. Screw you. No way. Okay, I'll talk. It was
Yeah.
always 3. And then I always love the joke of like, okay, here it is. Good. Knocks him out. It's like, you knocked him out before he could tell you.
Yeah, no,
I mean, I know that's a game dynamic, but it always feels like that. It feels like, okay, I'll talk. Good. Knocks him out.
but
Uh,
I do think they need to start respecting the player's time a bit more
yeah.
in
Oh,
these open world games and not be so reliant on the
Mafia
fast
3,
travel.
anyone? How they totally screwed that one up.
Well, there were a bunch of things there, but
Now, Mafia, thankfully, the Mafia Definitive Edition, the first game's remake, fixed it. They had a
right.
good balance and they gave you free ride mode.
Oh, that's good to know. Okay. But I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, going back to Saints Row 4, way back in the day, they solved that
Yeah,
it
it was
takes
the
too fucking
speed.
long to get around open world crime game maps.
Steelport or whatever.
Steelport. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
But I
So,
mean,
yeah.
they yes, everybody remembers the funny, but those games were legitimately
Well, that's
fun
what I
to
always loved
play.
about it. That's
Yeah.
what I always loved about was trying to unlock all those moves. So I go do 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 boing, and I
Yeah.
just bounce around the whole place. And I always make sure that I get the glider down, like everything to get me from A to B faster.
Yeah. And I mean
Now,
that
granted, it makes the collecting more of a hassle because now you have to go on the rooftops and everything. But
yeah, I mean, compare this to the trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy that we were streaming this on. I was streaming it on Twitch, and everybody went, "Oh no," because that Square Enix Avengers game was
mm-hmm,
unfixable, right? And then it was actually funny.
mm-hmm.
And everybody was like, okay, I'm going to give this game a chance because they seem to capture the voice of Guardians of the Galaxy. That's what the Saints Row trailer didn't do.
Oh, definitely. It felt like it was trying to be anything. Because once you find out, what game is it? Then once they say Saints Row, you're like,
Yeah, I was
what?
so like, it's going to be a Saints Row announcement. And then when they did it, I'm like, I'm sad.
Oh yeah. Now, thank God the rumors that people were starting to say was, oh, you can't customize your characters were bogus
Oh, I
because
don't.
you can't.
Who cares? There's not going to
Yeah, but how much
be.
you want to bet they're going to limit it? How much you, for example, you're not going to have gag boobs? How much you want?
Yeah, I am not expecting. What did they call it? A hotness slider or a sexy slider
Yeah,
or something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that?
I am not expecting where you can have these big, huge, jiggly,
Well,
like,
it wasn't you. They gave you like fit
or you make them so,
too.
yeah, or they can make you like completely like anorexic, like,
Yeah, well, that you could do anything you wanted.
make
And
them old, and everything.
the spectrum of natural hair colors in that game are brown to black,
So yeah,
and the everybody wears the same size bra and the same size jeans.
mm-hmm.
How is this diversity and inclusion? How is this a modern audience
Oh
thing?
yeah, that's why I love. Again, that's why I love what the Saints Row. Yeah, with the sex appeal and everything, or you make them jacked and everything. These,
The lead of that game should have looked like Megan the freaking Stallion or Cardi B.
Yeah, instead everyone just looks. So, in fact, I'll be honest. I thought the guy that was shirtless on the putting the helmet on was the
Oh,
boss because that felt like a
but
Saints Row boss.
that felt like a Watch Dogs character to
No, well,
me.
it felt like a Watch Dogs character, but the weirdness of it matched Saints Row 3's weirdness with that helmet. It felt like a Genki helmet.
Well, and yet it didn't because people don't run around in Genki helmets in real life. Deadmau5
True,
wears that in,
true.
it just
I'm just saying, no. Out of everything else, even though that felt like Watch Dogs, it was the closest to Saints Row as well. Was that design?
oh, sure, because it was cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, never mind cyberpunk. Like that I think everybody. I was talking to somebody like in real life.
They're not
the
going to be
other
making a
day.
TV show off of that game anytime soon.
I forget what the context was. I don't even remember where we were. It might have been a Zoom call, and someone said, I really like Cyberpunk 2077, and it was just like the record scratch in the room. And I'm like, that's bold. That's really cool that you like that, man. Like, good for
Yeah.
you.
Now
You
here's a
know?
question: would you rather do Cyberpunk or the Outer Worlds?
Oh, the Outer Worlds.
Thought so. Same here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Now,
That game just
I
didn't
do
have
own.
enough to it. It was all
Yep.
right.
Yep, I do own Cyberpunk. I
I
got
do
it
too.
at the cheapest it's ever gotten. Oh,
Hmm.
actually, one other thing. What games have you been playing? Because I've been playing through the Hitman games. Because I have the entire 3 with all the other games.
I playing Yakuza when I talked to you last time?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. I've been playing the RimWorld ideology expansion.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been playing Don't Starve Together with my husband.
Oh, don't starve together. Yeah.
I
I'm
haven't
The only thing I hate about that game is that it totally took them away from working on the single player version. Just don't starve, because I have not seen any more updates for that version.
You also really need to know what you're doing. You have to have played a survival game
Mm-hmm.
beforehand. But the one I'm waiting on to get back into AAA is Far Cry 6.
Oh yes, hey, because I have the Uplay Plus, I'm going to get that without having to actually pay for it.
Yeah, I love the Far Cry games, and this one looks like it's going to be a winner. I
I
mean,
think it's going to
talk
fix.
about,
Yeah.
did you see the chicken trailer?
Mhm.
So well done. And the fact they got a little doggy in a wheelchair, and
Yep,
it's
I
just,
am. I think they fixed some of the mistakes that were in 5. Like the fact looks like they're going to give you more of an actual voice character. It looks like, as
I was
opposed to
going
a
to say,
mute.
yeah, what do you think the issues were in 5? Because people are all over the map about their
Well, no,
feelings
well,
about
my
5.
my only issue was being the mute protagonist. That they were way around having 2 genders was just make them mute. Don't have them say a
Hmm.
word. That was my. I'll be honest. That was my only issue. I
Hmm.
am not a fan of mute protagonists at all. Especially, that's one of the things I liked about the Homeland DLC, the Homefront Revolution DLCs, that they make your character actually voice, and they
Hmm.
actually of course, they make the joke of, I liked you better when you were quiet.
Right. I mean, I
But
just
I hate that,
found
especially when they're huddled around and it's like they have to talk to you, but you can't say a word, and
right.
it's like that's so annoying because like who huddles like that or just
It's
looks right
funny.
at you in real life?
I didn't even notice that. That's a really funny point.
Whenever you're mute, they're always looking right at you in a way
Yeah,
that's so unrealistic.
I just the main storyline in Far Cry 5 was a bit of a downer, but Far Cry is always about the side quests for me,
Mm-hmm.
and the testy festy just so good. So
Now, which was your preferred play off on the endings? The DLC or New Dawn?
I haven't played New Dawn
They,
because I
they
was
they
a
changed things. They changed things in that one.
well, that's like Blood Dragon, right? And it
Kind
just
no, it's more RPG like.
oh, interesting. Because something came out at the same time as New Dawn, and I ended up playing that instead. I'm really
Gotcha.
happy that this holiday
Mm-hmm.
there aren't it's like
Oh
Metroid
yeah. Oh, thank
Dread and
God.
Far Cry are coming out at the same time, but
Yeah.
then it's I mean, what is it? What's it called? Shensen Megami Tenzin or something like
Something like
that.
that. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That's coming out, and then there's one other game that I'm like, that looks interesting, but it's like, wow, I'm not gonna be
I'm worried for
3
Halo
games
Infinite.
behind.
I'm worried for Halo Infinite since they're just saying, "Oh, it's definitely going to be December 8th." I'm like, "Oh no."
I jumped off the Halo bandwagon a
I'm just saying, no, I'm
long time
worried though.
ago.
I'm worried because it's like you're definitely setting it now after everything you've been going through. What you mentioned at the beginning of the year, now you're saying, "Oh, it's good. It's going to be December
Oh,
8th."
assume it'll ship broken.
Oh yeah, I'm more worried about how the campaign's going to play out because I'm always in it for the story mode. I could care less about multiplayer. I am not a multiplayer person.
If I wouldn't be surprised if it's another like 8-hour campaign and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they think
And it showed promise in that trailer. That's the sad thing.
yeah, I stopped playing Halo when they took out the couch co-op. I don't know why. I know why they did it, but I don't know why they did it. The fact that they thought Halo was going to be an esports game,
Ah.
you kill like a huge portion of your audience for a
Mm-hmm.
smaller portion of your player base. Like you
Ah.
want people to watch your game instead of
Nah.
play the game. You realize that you don't actually make money unless people buy your game, not watch someone else play it.
Yep. Now I'll say this: I am like looking forward to Guardians, but are you at all looking forward to the oh, what was it
Oh,
the
sorry.
what was it the other Marvel game coming out, Midnight Suns?
I just saw something about that. I have no idea what that is.
Oh, well, one is by the guys who did the XCOM games recently.
Okay.
And from the looks of things, though, it's not going to be XCOM like, though. It's not going to be
But
XCOM like.
what is it? I saw like this card set on someone's Twitter feed.
They're involving cars to a degree, but for the most part, you're going to have a handful of characters and do some attacking. It's a mixture of genres, I think.
But what is it? Is it Is it original characters? Is
No,
it
no, no. They're all established characters. There are no original characters in it.
Wait, they're putting the Runaways. I just googled it. They're putting
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Runaways, X-Men
Nico.
and the Avengers in the
Oh
same
yeah,
game?
Wolverine, all this stuff. Everyone that even though they have. Oh, here's what it is. It says combat will be turn-based, similar to XCOM, but between combat missions, players will be managing their upgradable base of operation called the Abbey, where they can explore in a third-person view, yada yada, role-playing elements and all that. Oh,
Firaxis is developing this.
yeah, that's what I said. They're the guys who did
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
XCOM. Yeah, but they
Okay.
say
Sort of
they'll be
looking-
allowed between 3 heroes to take into battle, and then they'll be dealt a deck of random ability cards, which and they are restricted to during the mission. Those abilities will affect either enemies, the player's own heroes, or the environment. So in other words, the cards are more meant for making each and randomizing each fight.
I think this game is going to and I feel bad for this game because of this. I think this game is going to rise and fall based on reviews
I agree.
because I'm looking at it going this is all about how it plays.
And they're putting so many characters in here that were never part of the Midnight Suns, like Nico at everything. It's like
I
I can see Magic. I can see her and Magic in it, but
it took me 3 games to realize that Ultimate Alliance was fun but not good. I
Oh,
bought
really?
every single Ultimate Alliance game.
there was only there was only the two.
Was there?
Only the two. Then you had
I
the
thought
two
there was a
X-Men
third
Legend.
one.
You also had the no. Yeah, there was a third one. You're right.
There was a third one because Kamala Khan was in the third one.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But that was the Nintendo exclusive, so I
Right,
don't count
yes,
that. That's
yes.
why I don't count that one because
Okay.
I don't have it.
Okay, because I was like, in the third game, when I
Well, the third
started-
game was practically a reboot anyway.
well, it was just here's a bunch of characters, fuck around, and I realized that's why I like the other 2 games. Here's a bunch of characters, fuck around.
Even though the
And-
second one did Civil War great until the movie did it better.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, Ultimate Alliance, fun game, not good game. I
Mhm.
suspect that Midnight Suns might be similar.
I just hope it doesn't hurt
seems-
Fire Access. I just hope it doesn't hurt them.
Well, they get something out that people might actually buy. That won't hurt them.
Good point.
But yeah, I will. I would have to get somebody who I trust in terms of turn-based strategy. I'm glad for turn-based to come back. Hey, awesome!
yeah.
Turn-based strategy, loves it. And Firaxis, okay.
Well, I mean, they've done a great job with those other games, with those XCOM games, but the recent one,
right. So, yeah.
I mean, at least it was a spin-off and not an actual follow-up, but still.
This is one of these games of bless early adopters because I think everybody's going to be waiting on.
Chimera Squad is what I was
Someone-
talking about. I was talking about Chimera
Okay.
Squad.
I think everybody's going to be waiting to find someone who played it.
Someone else who's going to take the risk. Someone
That's
else
right.
is going.
That's right. Someone else is going to take the risk, so we know whether the game is good or not.
Now, one other question was upcoming games. I know they're not out till next year, but be honest, which one are you more looking forward to? Suicide Squad or Gotham Knights? Rocksteady or Warner Brothers and Montreal?
To me, that's kind of which would you prefer, a kick in the ass or a punch in the balls?
Oh, come really?
Yeah,
You're not a fan? Not a
I
fan
love
of the
the
Rocksteady
Suicide
game?
Squad movies so much that I don't think I'll be.
You don't think Rocksteady will do it
Effective?
justice?
I like those guys. I hope they do a good job. I'm just saying.
I want
I'm
them to do
not-
the Superman game. I want them to do that Superman game.
Well, that's the problem. They've got kill the Justice League is their tagline. I don't want to.
Well, you know,
it's
since it's set in the Arkhamverse, it's not going to be really killing them.
Yeah, but I don't like the tagline. It just seems desperate.
Well, what about
Because they
Gotham Knights?
Again, I don't. I think
Well,
I'm just,
I loved Origins. I loved
I'm
Origins.
so burned out on Batman and the Grimdark and the Scowly, and I
Well,
want.
Batman's not in it, remember?
I
It's the rest
know,
of the
but I
family.
want heroes that smile.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's why I want a Superman game. And you know what?
Yeah.
I was watching that old video of Unseen 64 talking about the Factor
Oh,
5
God.
Superman game that
Right.
never got made. You knew I was
Yeah.
going with that, didn't
Yeah,
you?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Seriously,
Yeah.
that would have been so amazing.
Yeah. But there's a lot of games like that. I mean, I don't know. I think
Oh
I'm
yeah, the Flash game that never was.
yeah. I think I'm kind of burned out on adapted IPs. I'll play Guardians just because it looks funny,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm more interested in new stuff.
Well, if you want
You
new stuff,
know?
you know what? Two demos that just got released on Steam.
What?
Spectacular Sparky. It's by the guy who did the AVGN adventure game,
Okay.
and Fallen Aces. Which, have you ever heard of the Doom mod Action Doom
Yeah.
2? Action Doom 2, I should say.
What's this game called?
Oh, this other game is called Fallen Aces. Is the one I was
Fallen
about to
Ace.
mention.
Oh wait, I've seen something on that.
Yeah,
The
the
other
demo just
one.
came out. The demo and Spectacular Sparky, their demo just came out, as well as Postal Brain Damage.
The other one that somebody recommended to me was Medieval Dynasty
Medieval.
that I
I don't
want
know
to
about
give a
that one.
try. It's apparently like RimWorld meets Satisfactory in medieval
Ooh.
times. And I'm like, that sounds like my
But
jam.
yeah,
Not gonna lie.
But Fallen Aces, the fact that people made a joke of it's Action Doom 3.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that I've seen something on that game.
But like I said,
See this?
Spectacular Sparky. I mean, have you ever played the AVGN adventure games?
Yeah.
Yeah, same guy who programmed all those. Yeah, this one, but it has voice acting and everything,
I
and
will
it's
check that
just
one out.
zany.
I was trying to get a hold of the new Oregon Trail, but
Oh,
that's an Apple Arcade exclusive.
which I played it. I have Apple Arcade because
I don't even know how to get Apple Arcade in Canada. I think my
oh,
iPad's too
I don't
old.
know about it. That's the problem. But one thing I do like though is no microtransactions. Even from games you think would have them, no. And I
Well, because
love that.
you're paying a subscription.
I know, and I love. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but when has that stopped other people?
Okay, fair enough.
Okay,
Fair
I think
enough.
it's about time we start wrapping up.
All right, this was fun, man.
Yeah, again, I love these rambles of ours. We come in with some ideas and we just go all over the
Yeah.
map.
I'm gonna be on Nerdette's podcast. I think Sunday,
All right.
if I'm not mistaken. So
And I
yeah,
think
doing the
Bianca's
cycle.
supposed to be there too. I think that BM. I think she's supposed to be there too. I think.
Cool.
Yep. So yeah, I'll be checking you ladies out then. So
And thanks for my streaming viewers for jumping on this and contributing. So I saw a few familiar names. So yeah, it's cool to be in a
yep. So
chat
yeah,
format again.
thank you all for coming. Thank you again, and catch you all later.